All the pretty girls stand up. All the pretty boys stand up.
Pretty boys in the building.
Sway. This right here is my sway. Sway. All the girls are on me. Damn. Everybody pay attention. This right here is my pretty boy sway. 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 Girls on my rank. Pretty sway. Girls on my rank. Sway. Pretty boy sway. Pretty boy sway. 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 Girls on my rank. Pretty boy sway. Girls on my rank. Pretty boy sway.
Soldier.
Get out the way. Pretty boy coming through.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another stream with Swaggle Haas, everybody's favorite kind of stream. That's right. We got ourselves the return of the collector call-in show, the stream that is all about you, the viewer, the caller inners of the stream. Because tonight we have so many things to talk about in comic book collecting land. We just had Free Comic Book Day. We just had the release of the movie Thunderbolts. We got May the 4th. It's like Star Wars pandemonium out there. And I want to hear what is on comic book collectors' minds. So if you guys don't know how the call-in show works, it's very, very simple. I have a link to the stream in the description down below. And if you have something on your mind, a topic you want to bring up, something that you want to discuss, maybe you want to just share some of the comic books that you picked up on Free Comic Book Day, tune into the show, call in, hit the link, you'll join the StreamYard. And the only rule that I have is that, you behave yourself and you'll also have your camera on because I want to see your face. I need to know who you are. There are exceptions. If I already know who you are, it's not as good of a show. I think it's more, better viewing experience if you actually have, your face on camera. But if you don't want to be on your camera, that's okay. I'll forgive that. And hopefully we have a great show. And listen, if nobody tunes in or nobody jumps into the backstage and wants to hop on the call-in show, then it's just going to be me and you. And we're just going to talk for a couple hours. I don't know, however long we go. We're just going to keep talking. I'm just going to not stop. I say this all the time. My tips for you guys who maybe want to get into YouTube or streaming or whatever, the key to success is to just never stop talking. Just constantly talk. Fill up the space. You can have dramatic pauses like that sometimes, but you just want to keep it going. Just keep it going. Anyways, before we get into the main show, let's check in with the chat here and see what everyone is talking about. Let's say hello to a couple people. Of course, we got Derek Neiman in the house. Shout out to you, Derek. Community member, great person of the comic book community. It's always good seeing you, buddy. We got GT Key Comic in the house. GT Key Comic, you've lost your step, or you're losing a step, at your age, coming in second here. GT Key always one of the first people in the chat. We got Brandon in the house. What's going on, Brandon? We got Vinny in the house. We got MJ Comics in the house. What's going on, MJ? We got Eli here. We got Richard. We got a lot of, all-stars in the chat, Gen X Comics. Like I said, we got Richard. We got Peyton. We got Jose. I mean, we got everybody. And so anyways, as we get into it, we'll get into a few different topics. Maybe I can do a little bit of housekeeping, before we start to get into it as we wait for people to tune in. I mean, again, maybe people don't want to tune in. Maybe people have nothing to say, which I know is not true because have you seen my comic book comment section? There's a lot of very, very passionate voices down there. Maybe you can like the video, like the stream, share it to your friends, do those things to help get the word out. Shtick aside, I really do like having the call-in show because I feel like this is more of like a vehicle for other people to voice, their thoughts and their opinions, or share stuff that they're doing, maybe projects out there. You want to shill something within the comic book space, go right ahead. I'll be swaggle shill for you. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's like it gets boring listening to me, listening to my own voice. I'm not the only one with an opinion in comic collecting land. I want to hear your guys' thoughts. You know what I mean? Let's see. Jose says, I thought Thunderbolts looked stupid and was going to be bad. I stand corrected. It was fun. I agree. Except, I mean, I thought that it actually looked like, oh, this like looks like it can be pretty good. And I'm not somebody who like, you know, seal claps to every trailer. Like I'm definitely pretty skeptic. I'm pretty skeptical about a lot of the, not just MCU projects, but like movie projects in general. I mean, like it takes a lot for me to like trust that a movie is going to be good. But I thought I was like, okay, this definitely has a chance. And like you, I enjoyed the film. I definitely enjoyed the film, and it's interesting to see like people's reactions to it so far. I've watched a couple other YouTube channels, like a lot of big YouTube channels that do movie reviews, and a lot of them are pretty positive actually, and then a lot of them are still pretty negative overall. And I think that that's interesting because I think a lot of the Marvel stuff has been overwhelmingly panned by, let's say, not the like legacy critics, but like certainly in the social media critic space, everyone has definitely been like, oh, the MCU has been terrible. And I think now like you're seeing a lot of people that also were negative towards a lot of MCU projects actually watched this movie this past week and they were like, oh, it actually was pretty decent. Like we're not talking absolute cinema here. Like this is not Martin Scorsese level, nor is this going to be something where it's like, hey, we're back to Iron Man 1, Avengers 1 level. I know I did my movie review where like the title is like, we are so back, we are so medium back, and it's like, are we so back? Like no, like I mean, we are so back as a meme. It's a joke. Some of the people in my comment section where it's like, oh, Swaghouse, you're so stupid. We're so not back. It's like, guys, are we that devoid of humor and irony? Can we not share a meme? Like, isn't it funny to just say we're back? Like to constantly do the yo-yo thing? Like it's just, oh, we're back. Oh, we suck. Oh, we're back. Oh, it's just funny. It's just funny. Lighten up, you know? But the movie was it was entertaining. I definitely thought it had some really standout stuff. I mean, I already did my review of it, and actually, you know what? I think this is a good important thing to point out. I think now that it is Sunday, I feel like we can talk spoilers. Like if you come on the show and we talk about Thunderbolts, are we cool with that? Can we allow spoiler talk? I think we should allow spoiler talk here. I did my non-spoiler review on Friday. It's Sunday now. It's fine, right? It's fine. Check it with the chat. See what people are saying here. We got Mighty Comics in the house. What's going on, Mighty? What's going on, Lawrence? Lawrence did a epic live stream last night, where he hung out for a bunch of hours on his channel and just kind of rambled. I feel like I'm probably going to do that here tonight on my channel. But that's okay. If we just ramble, we'll just ramble. I'll just talk to you guys. That could be fun too. And by you guys, I mean the chat. We'll just talk to the chat. We got Raymond in the house. What's going on, Raymond? We got Lively here. Hopefully, everyone had a great free comic book day and weekend in general. Did you guys pick up your free comic books? Did you guys get your Mark Spears Monster Sirs free comic day book? I did. I read it. I liked it. It was very good. Shout out to Mark Spears. I thought that he did a good job with his free comic book. What's interesting about his free comic book is that it was actually kind of like a full story. Mostly free comic book day books are like 5 pages, maybe. This was like, oh no, this is like legitimately a free comic book. It's good. It was like 20 pages of story. I got this one right here. Fantastic Four, giant size. Did you guys see the spoiler? Should I show it? Can we do spoilers? It's not really even a spoiler. I mean, like, I think that there were people talking about this already. And it's just obvious that they're going to do this. Are you guys ready? Are you guys ready to see what is in this comic book right here? Ms. Marvel, Kamala Khan in the X-Men team. It's happening. It's happening. There you go. Giant size X-Men 1 new issue with the cover swipe homage of Kamala Khan in the X-Men. Like, obviously, right? They're like, why is she an Inhuman? Why are we associating this character that we're trying to make a flagship character with the brand of Inhumans that nobody cares about? They're like, can we get this girl on Team X-Men? And now they're going to do that. This is what they did when they did it with the Disney Plus show, right? They like made her an X-Men. They played the theme and stuff. And it's like, well, clearly, like you don't want her being like an Inhuman. Nobody cares about the Inhumans anymore. The Inhumans are over. Let's see what else you guys are saying. Gen X says it was definitely on par with the Guardians movie. Enjoyable for sure. On par. If we're talking about Guardians 1, I think Guardians 1 is way tighter than Thunderbolts. If we're talking about Guardians 3, it's like, I don't know. I don't I wouldn't it's hard to say. I don't think it's as good as Guardians 3 or I would say as interesting as Guardians 3, but I'm more invested in the Guardians characters because I've known them for longer. You know what I did pull out? If we really don't have anyone, you know what I did pull out? Check this out. I pulled up the MCU movie tier list. Because I was thinking, like, what if I did a movie tier list tonight to fill the space? It could happen. It could happen. But I was curious about this because I was trying to really think. I was like, where do I actually put Thunderbolts? And I think it's a middle tier movie in general of all the phases. But that's not a bad thing. I think it's a serviceable, solid, fun middle movie. The truth is, if I'm really being honest, I think there's only like 10 Marvel movies of the how many do they have? Like at this point, 35 or 40. I think there's only 10 that I would call excellent movies. And then the rest of it's like, yeah, that was okay. It was fun. That's my own personal scale. I had the trailer at a 9 out of 10, and after watching the movie, I give it an 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10 is very good. 8 out of 10 is very good. Shout out to Gary. What's going on, Gary? I did not enjoy the Thunderbolts. Weak plot, better than the last Cap movie. That straight up sucked. Yeah, that's fine. I think that there are flaws with the Thunderbolts movie for sure. It's not a perfect movie. I wouldn't put it at Guardians, and I can understand why people don't like it. But I 100% agree with you. It is definitely better than the last Captain America movie. Last Captain America movie was nonsensical to me. Like that, it's not. These are professional filmmakers. These people are professional. They're getting paid millions of dollars. That is an unacceptable product that they put out. That's just my opinion. I want a Sinners comic book series. You know what? Sinners is doing pretty good. You know, here comes the franchiseification of Sinners. That's how these things work. Sinners will crush, and then they'll want a Sinners 2, and then Sinners 3, and then they'll do like a whole thing, and it'll just be an offshoot into a brand. Because that's what you have to do these days in movies, you know, which is a interesting conversation. MCU doesn't deserve my time at the theaters these days, sadly. I wait for the screaming, but Feige swears he is in the process of course correction. Yeah, I saw that quote too. And here's the thing. They know that their movies suck, but they have to like go out and they have to do the PR thing, right? They have to be like, oh, this is one of the best ones we've ever had. You know, when they were going out for Quantum Mania, this is one of the best ones, you know? Because of course they're selling a product. Of course they have to sell it. But he knows. He knows. I'll tell you this. I know people who work at Marvel Studios. I have a couple people in there. Not like super close, but I know a few people. And I've definitely heard that from them, Kevin Feige has not been happy with a lot of the projects. And I said it on the channel before. It's like he's not God. He can't just cancel everything or do whatever. He has to like work within the corporate structure still as well. And I'm not saying that he's infallible too. He can make mistakes and make bad movies as well. But now that their movies have not been as successful at the box office, which by the way, I think Thunderbolts is going to be okay at the box office, but it's not going to make more than like 500 million. Like, and I think by their barometer of what they're trying to achieve with these types of movies, that's probably going to be not good enough. But that doesn't make the movie a failure necessarily as well. I mean, they're gonna recoup their money. They're gonna strengthen their brand and their IP. They're gonna have a Thunderbolts name that they can now utilize through various forms of merchandise. And then they have this product that pays dividends for the rest of however long they own it. You know, so I think it's still okay to do some of that stuff. Comics Embrace, what's going on, man? Good to see you. Spoilers, you guys are okay with spoilers? All right, good. All right, we go for spoilers. Kenshin, cheers from Argentina. We got Argentina in the house. Shout out Argentina. No spoilers for at least 2 weeks, Jose says. Oh, okay. Different opinions on spoilers. Well, here's what we'll do. Listen, if it comes up in the conversation, we're going to do spoilers. But if it doesn't come up in the conversation, I won't just outright say it. But I'm not gonna censor myself. What up? What up? What up, Ozzy? Let's see here. Chris says every comic book store I went around here had stickers on them, which was annoying, but I got a copy. They had stickers on the free comic book day comics. That's super annoying. Why do people do that? I feel like that's like that's not even just a free comic book day thing. I've seen that in other comic book stores where they put a sticker directly on the comic book. You would think that like a comic book store would not do that. Like I understand if it's like, oh, this is like Goodwill put a sticker on top of a comic book, or like, oh, it's the I don't know, some thrift store or some pawn shop that had a bunch of comics. They put stickers directly on the book, but a comic shop, get out of here. What is that? What is that? JC says, what are your thoughts on graded versus raw books, and that raw has been selling more than graded books lately? It's a really good big topic, and I think there's probably a lot to say with it. And actually, there's something that Mighty on his channel last night, he had a similar kind of question, and I even chimed in on the chat with this. But I would say that I think graded books have reverted back to what they should be used for. Meaning, when grading came out, I think it was a way to establish a grade for a book that maybe is like a vintage book that is very unclear of like what the grade should actually be. And most people, and when they establish that grade, it's really because you're taking a lot of risk, spending a lot of money buying a book online. So I think the grading is now servicing that again, where most people are only grading books that deserve to be graded, like value wise. Like if you have a 5-figure golden age book, like of course you got to grade it. If you have a high grade EF15, of course you have to grade it, because you have to establish what the grade is, third party, in order to either extract the value or establish the value. And I think for a long time, everybody was just grading everything because it felt like grading was going to give you a premium. But it's kind of like that's like sort of a faulty way to think about it. It should not give you a premium. It should establish the proper value. So I think people are reverting to it back in that sense. And then on the flip side, I think that grading is mostly just a modern collector tool. I think that there's just a lot of people that they want the perfect book, or they want the best book. So they want a 9.8 or 9.9, but they want a 9.8. And if you're a modern collector, a copper age collector, you just want to know I have the best copy of that thing that I like. So it's either you got a 5-6-figure or 4-figure book, or something that has value. I mean, hell, I don't know, $500, $600, $700. Sure, still whatever, great. Has value, and then you have 9.8s, and I think that that's what they are. And then as far as like raw books selling more than graded books lately, I think that there's many components to why. I think one, in theory, raw book is always going to be cheaper. At the very least, it's going to be cheaper than the grading cost plus the pressing cleaning service, right? In theory. So you have those costs to save on. And then two, I think that there's some element of like buying the dream with your raw comic book. For instance, let's say you have a Fantastic Four 48 and your raw book is a 5.0. But we don't know that. It's just like, oh, it's a mid grade. Versus buying a Fantastic Four 48 that is in a graded comic case, like a CGC case, and it says 5.0. Well, it's like now I know that it's 5.0. But this mid grade, it's like, well, what if this mid grade's a 5.5? What if it's a 6.0? You know what I mean? Like there's a little bit of like two in the bush aspect to buying a raw comic book. So those are one, that's two. And then the third aspect to it is I think that there's general utility in buying a raw comic book over a graded comic book. You get to open it, you get to look at it, you get to read the story, you get to smell it. I think people want that utility. So, because if you're going to buy a comic book and your purpose is not to flip it, it's not to like invest in it, it's not to, frankly, even like display it on like your wall or whatever. I mean, the reason you're buying it is like for the utility of like actually being able to open it and flip through it and do all those things. So a raw comic book is more attractive for that purpose. So, anyways, that's my sort of thoughts. I hate when they do that. Oh yeah, the sticker thing for sure sucks. Baishin says, do you have Sandman comics? I Sandman like the DC Sandman. No, I don't have any. I did used to have some of them, but I sold them a little while ago, before even the show came out. But Sandman's a great story. Let's see here. Lord says nobody wants Kamala Khan. They have pushed this character in every possible way. Well, there's no doubt that they said we are going to make this character work. And usually that leads to bad results. You can't force people to like stuff. But I think at this point, there are people that like Kamala Khan. But I don't think that they like her enough to where she is a flagship character. You know, the example I always point to is like, it's like wrestling, you know? It's like Vince McMahon or Triple H or whoever can say, you guys are going to like this wrestler. You're going to like John Cena. You have to like John Cena. But the crowd and the people will always tell you. You know what I mean? They were like, there was a time they wanted Roman Reigns to be the guy, but the crowd was chanting for Daniel Bryan. And eventually the crowd won out. So it's like you can't tell people what they like. And I think that's it's better if you just let it organically grow. They could have put out Kamala Khan or whatever. They did the same with Captain Marvel. It's the same thing where it's like they make her the flagship character, and it's like everyone's kind of like, well, I mean, I don't her why, you know, but it's because they want it to be that. They're putting the cart before the horse a lot of times. But that being said, she is popular now. So I think that there are people that like her. And it just, again, it makes sense that they're going to put her in the X-Men because they want the character to be successful. And in humans, it's not successful. How will they pivot with the Sentry? I hope they don't minimize him. Guys, the Sentry is going to get got so hard in Doomsday and or Secret Wars or whatever. Here's the problem with the Sentry is it's the same thing. It's the Hulk problem. The Hulk problem. It's like we always got to put these guys on ice to allow the villain to, you know, do his evil villain things because characters like that, Captain Marvel, Incredible Hulk, you know, whatever, Thor with, you know, freaking Stormbreaker, you always have to nerf him. Same with Sentry. They're going to nerf him or whatever. He's going to come out in Doomsday. He's going to like power up and then Doctor Doom's going to like rip him in half or whatever he does. Like in order to show via the Worf effect, which if you guys know the Worf effect, you know, from Star Trek, basically TLDR in Star Trek, the show, Worf would always get owned by like every single villain. Worf was like the most useless character, and the reason for that is because it's the plot dictating it. Where it's like, well, we need to show that this villain is really powerful, so we're going to have him beat up Worf, and then the audience will know that he's really powerful, and then therefore, you know, the good guys will be in threat. But it ends up just making Worf look bad. Same thing's going to happen to Sentry. Same thing's going to happen. He's going to get the Worf effect, and then after Secret Wars, when they reboot the entire universe, I don't think they're going to use Sentry, to be honest. I don't think he'll be a part of the MCU after that because it's too hard to write that type of character. He might show up one day, and if fans fall in love with him and Sentry becomes like a cultural icon, which maybe he is because everyone loves Bob or whatever, I don't think that they'll use him, but we'll see. We'll see. Shout out to Stash Dad with the $5 super chat. Shout out to Nuclear Comics in SoCal. I got close to all those 50 comics, including my son too. Kid, it was amazing. It was all free. Lol. 1 hour line. Stash Ad, appreciate you, man, with $5 super chat. 50 comics. Shout out to Nuclear Comics in SoCal. I don't think I've ever been to Nuclear Comics. I should check them out. Are we talking about like, is this like deep SoCal? Like San Diego SoCal? I mean, that would make sense if I didn't make it. But yeah, how was your guys' free comic book day lines? Like, I went to my local comic book store and it was packed. Like it was sardines in the shop. Like I was actually pretty surprised. But I grabbed the fat stack, you know, or I grabbed all the free comic books, and then I didn't really buy anything because I was like, there's too many people here. I don't want to dig around. Like I don't know. It's like so busy and hectic. I was like, it's like being at a con, you know. So I just grabbed the free comic books I wanted to read and brought them home and you know, try to check them out. Let's see here. We got Nando in the house. What up, Swag? TNK was handing out free comic book day books at a car show out here in Temecula. Nice. I think I saw your story actually. So let me know how that went. Let's see. Baydecker says, "Who do you recommend for cleaning and pressing? The last service I went through went bankrupt." Ooh, cleaning and pressing. It's hard to find great, talented people, but I can give a couple recommendations. Rocket Comics here in Southern California. They do a pretty good job. I've used them many times for my books. Rocket Comics, you can find them on Instagram. There's Comic Presser. He's been on my YouTube channel many times. I think he's East Coast based, but they're a great company as well. And they've done some amazing work. So look them up, Comic Presser on Instagram. And people in the chat, let Baydecker know where he can find a good comic presser. Maybe you guys are good comic pressers yourself. Let Baydecker know. I think there's amazing people. Instagram is really the place you should look. Like maybe just search a hashtag comic pressing and try to find people's work. That would be what I would recommend. And just see who works for you. I kind of like using pressers who are local because then you can have the personal relationship. You can drop the books off manually, but that's just me. So it is a call-in show, by the way, guys. The show is about you guys, the callers. If you would like to call in and bring up a topic or say what's on your mind or talk about things that you've picked up recently, maybe you got free comic book day stuff, maybe you're a Star Wars fan. You guys doing any Star Wars stuff today? Did you watch Andor season 2 for May the 4th? Whatever's on your mind. You can hop on. Link in the description. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep yapping. I'm happy to just yap. Live Loot says, I guess most people might not be the right phrasing. I mean, the big buyers are buying raw in search of the needle in the haystack or the spec resale value. That might be from a different conversation that you guys are having live. JC, the comic geek, do you think Marvel Comics or the MCU will utilize properties like Darkhawk or Sleepwalker from the 90s? I don't think it's looking good for our boy. I'm going to be honest. I don't think it's looking good to see Darkhawk or Sleepwalker in the MCU anytime soon. I think that there was a chance, I think when we were kind of like phase 3 to phase 4 and going into Spec Town, and Marvel was like, dude, let's make every character, let's bring them all to the screen. I think that there was a legit chance. And there was a James Gunn tweet that he actually did say that at one point he had not Darkhawk, but he had the Talon, I think it was. He had the Darkhawk history, which they actually retconned, is based on the Shi'ar Empire, and there's a lot of connection to like the Nova Corps and a lot of the Guardians of the Galaxy space stuff. At one point in one draft, he did have, I think, the Shi'ar razors in it, which is the Darkhawk armor, and then he didn't go with that, but he said that he had that. And so to me, it's like if he didn't pull him in then, and the point when they were using all these random characters and trying to like make freaking, Moon Knight work and Shang-Chi and all this stuff, it's like, I don't think it's looking good for our boy. Sleepwalker too, it's, and listen, as much as I would love to see it, it probably wouldn't be the right move for them to do it. Like, I know it's painful to say it, but listen, Darkhawk doesn't sell. Sleepwalker doesn't sell. They're not popular enough to have their own ongoing series. Thus, they're certainly not popular enough to have a movie about them, let alone a Disney Plus show. So the best chance we have for characters like that are like, side characters in other people's movies. I hope that that's the case one day. All right, says, considering the current market dynamics, you think a national comic book collectors association would be considered broadly beneficial for collectors at every level? A national comic book collectors association. What would that look like, though? Like what does that mean? And what would they do? But I think groups are important for sure. I think that like definitely, utilizing communities and organizations and entities like doing more for the community, like take any of the pricing guide services or whoever, a heritage auctions or a Comic Connect, and them building out their things, I think is like a good thing to do. And you can essentially call them organizations. You know what I mean? Like it's good to have those entities, like an Overstreet or whatever. The Sentry weakness is his mind and mental health. I don't know if you're being facetious, but that is a fact. Mills, what's going on, man? Will there be any more Sanity comics on the way? Yes. Yes. Richard says, I like KK, but she is best used on Avengers. Kamala Khan, Young Avengers. Yeah, she kind of fits more in the Young Avengers space. Let's see. Derek says, it's crazy that the expectation is 1 billion. Not every movie can hit 1 billion. And if it doesn't, that doesn't mean the movie is bad. There's way more to deeming a movie a success than 1 billion threshold. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I think it's probably fair to say, like, I don't know what the number is in the building that they have in their mind, or the numbers that they would want to hit. But just from like an outside perspective looking in, I would definitely say that, they want to hit 700 million for most of their movies worldwide. I think it's pretty clear, especially when you look at like the general movie landscape. If you're a blockbuster movie and you hit 700 million, like that's a goodish success. And if you're 800 million, that's like great. And 900 and a billion is like you're a smash hit. So where this movie settles on the 500, 600, it's kind of like, okay, well, we didn't bankrupt ourselves, but it was a lot of effort for not a lot of return. But that doesn't always mean that it's going to be a bad thing, because they're more a machine at this point, and they can they're just building brand awareness and getting brand equity by doing all these movies and keeping the machine going. So it still kind of works for them, versus like, I don't know, if you're like Legendary, and you come out with a Kong versus Godzilla movie, like and you flop, like that's way more disastrous for you than it is maybe for Marvel. But we'll see. All right, we got our first caller of the show. Matt, sir, I see you. Are you ready? All right, we're gonna bring him on for the Collector Call-In show. The first caller. We got Matt Kennedy, Pop Sequential, back in the house. What's going on, Matt? It's good to see you.
Hey, Mickey, good to see you. I was just at the location of our previous first in-person meeting yesterday for Free Comic Book Day at Red Hood Comics in Las Vegas. They said hello, and he promised he was going to tell you that I did not buy the latest issue of your comic from his comic shop, even though it would have meant absolute support of your comic. I told him I wanted to buy it from you, and I wanted to buy the whole run, and now I just feel terrible about the whole ordeal.
Well, I don't know how to react to that, because on the one hand, it's like, yeah, I guess buy it for me, but also shout out to Red Hood Comics, because he did support my comic book by having it in Las Vegas. So if you guys are there, you definitely should go check out his shop. It's a great shop.
Yes. So I was calling in today because I watched with intent interest in the show you did on original comic art collecting, and you had on Dinesh and Zatari, and then I read the comments, and it seemed to discourage people from actually going out and buying original comic art, because Dinesh and Zatari are collectors at like such a high level, and they're throwing around like these amazing pieces that they have, that it seemed, I think, to a lot of people that were watching the show, that were in the comments, that weren't already collecting comic art, that it was such a difficult buy-in. And I wanted to say that that's just not the case, that there's, I gave a piece away yesterday to a friend of mine that I commissioned for $20 from a rather talented local illustrator for, the tie-in of May the 4th Be With You, Star Wars comic art. He's a comic collector. You can get pieces at every level, and you can get published comic art for frequently less than $100. Now, certainly, like the baller pieces are going to be a lot more money, right? Like, I mean, if you want something that everybody wants, or if you're following hot characters that have like a really small amount of appearances, then you're going to be competing with a large portion of the hobby. But the truth of the matter is that there's such affordable comic art at every stratus within the hobby that it can be done. And I just wanted to make sure that your audience understands that. And I'm sure you'll follow it up, with a show where you talk to people that are a little bit more mid-level, or even people that have become fast collectors. And honestly, Zatari hasn't been in the hobby this long, but he's a banker. So what he came to the hobby with is a lot different, I think, than most of the collectors. And you read OAX, that most of the collectors that form the core of, say, like the comic art fans market, and shout out to Comic Art Fans, an amazing site where you can find fellow collectors and people who are selling comic art rather affordably, but at every price point. That they're middle class guys, like that there are people that maybe they're saving to buy a piece that they really love, or maybe they're entering hard and like they never realized that they could buy, art from comics that are on the newsstands that they're reading affordably. But even, a lot of the conversation filtered towards investment. And I think that most people that buy artwork aren't buying it because they're legitimately investing in it. I think they like to think of the money spent as a good investment over time. And I think mostly that will prove to be true. I think that if you give 10 or 20 years to a thing, that the evidence supports the fact that it will be worth more money than you paid for it. But I think you also need to consider the investment in your own joy. That if having a thing gives you joy, and it gives you joy for a tremendous amount of time, you can actually look at that and say, hey, this gave me joy from this point to this point. I paid this much for it. If I aggregate it by day, it cost me 50 cents a day, or it cost me $50 a day, depending upon what it was that you purchased. And then the resale, if you can even recoup what you paid for it, you've already made money from the joy it gave you. But if you make more than that, then it is legitimately an investment. And I think that I sold art for years as an art dealer when I ran La Luz de Jesus Gallery, when I ran Gallery 30 South. And it was never really a factor with most of my buyers of whether they thought that they were investing in something that was going to be valuable. Their questions to me were always, I have an idea of what this represents. Can you tell me for sure what was in the artist's head when they painted it so that we're aligned? And of the pieces in this show, which one do you like best? I mean, these were the most common questions. It was never like, is this going to be worth money in 2 years? Is this going to be worth money in 4 years? And I've been on Ruben's show, and we talk about, buying and selling artwork too soon and how you lose money if you don't put enough time into it, that flipping in the art business isn't the same as flipping in the card or comic book business. But I wanted to make sure that people understood that this is a very doable thing. You don't have to be rich. You can wait and invest in something bigger, but like what you can get for $100 is going to be mind-blowing to someone who doesn't know that you can get that. What you can get at $300 is really more than 3 times, possibly more impressive than what you can get for $100. And if you go all the way to $1,000, you can get stuff that's 20 times, better than what you can get at the $300 level, and really stuff that will impress fellow lifetime collectors. And that's a thing I think which is really important, that what people are looking for when they're purchasing artwork, aside from having a personal connection to the thing that they're reading and that they enjoy, or the character history that they enjoy, or a team up of writer and artist, is bragging rights, right? Like, a unique thing's a unique thing. If you own it, you're the only guy that got it. And another thing that they were talking about were like artist proofs. And Zatari's kind of spat a number out there, and it's just not like basically what's happening in the hobby among the artists who produce artist proofs. He named like $200, $300, $400. Some of those pieces are $1,000, $2,000 for these artist proofs, because the guys that and girls that are illustrating comics holistically digitally are some of the most talented people that are drawing comics. And the only way to get a piece of artwork, original, quote unquote, original artwork, unique artwork, we'll say, that connects back to the comics that they do, is through these artist proofs, because there is no ostensible original sketch. And some of those people will later do commissions, and you can buy commissions. And I'll be the first person to say, in both cases, that if you're looking to invest, then you're probably not going to invest in an artist proof or even a commission, because they don't automatically increase in price at the same rate as published comic art, because they lack provenance, the provenance that publishing gives them. But I've seen many commissions become covers, become variant covers, become regular covers, make it into the artist's personally published books, which then gives them provenance, become posters, become authentic licensed merchandise that the artist can sell, or that a vendor or store can then license as their own special cover or property that they work out a deal with Marvel and with the artist to become official. So I think that the biggest problem, and why that has such maybe a valley between the investment value and the ostensible aesthetic value, is that most people that are paying for commissions aren't art directors, and a lot of artists don't do great commissions. That it really comes down to whether or not you're nailing the right thing, because all things aren't equal, right? I mean, like, there's going to be a difference between this thing and that thing. There's a difference between what an Art Adams artwork page sells for versus a Neil Adams artwork page sells for. And, there was even a conversation about, someone said, oh, the cover A artwork will always be more valuable. And then they showed the Captain America 6 cover, which is a golden example of it being the less valuable cover of that same issue. So like, I wanted to kind of clarify that for your audience, because I know that you do this as an educational exercise, and also because your channel is definitely investment oriented, but it's because you love it. And I know that you've kind of caught the bug, and you're looking for the stuff that you want to collect and the artwork. And that you can do research by checking different outlets to see what's the difference between the, say, fair market value is and what an overpay is. But I think also, when talking about, like, if you contact somebody and they have a piece in their gallery and it's listed as not for sale, you should really be prepared to offer a lot higher than the quote unquote fair market value if you're asking somebody for something that's not on the open market. And that was another thing that was like, ooh, like, if that's the advice someone takes away, then they're going to get met with a lot of sort of not kind responses to that type of information. But I want to thank you for doing that show, and kind of clarify points that I'm sure you didn't even have time to make if you're catching that in real time.
Well, I'm glad. I'm actually really glad you brought that up, because I also, like you, saw some of the conversation after the fact, and I realized that, like, oh yeah, price point was like a big part of it. And
Yeah.
I did have like a little list of like, oh, here's the things I want to ask, and one of them was going to be like expenses and like it's getting into art, like how much it costs and all this stuff. It was like, can you be on a budget doing it? And it just never got to that, and I was actually uh, disappointed. I'm glad you bring it up, because
Yeah.
because I was like, oh, dude, I should have brought that up, and I should have talked about that, because it is an important thing. And in a previous art show that I've done, or like maybe it was a video or something, there was similar sentiment. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I really, next time I do art, I really got to address this elephant in the room, which is like, yeah, if you don't have the money to get into it, then it seems like it's something that you can't get into. But you're right, because it's like, yeah, I've had the experience of just going to OX even. And it's like, you can find a cool comic art page for like $75.
Yeah.
You can definitely find stuff like that. So I'm glad that you brought that up for sure, because yeah, like the big pieces, the notable pieces are going to be expensive because they're notable and a lot of people want them. But like, we talk about Free Comic Book Day, like, and think of all the comic books that people picked up. Matt said he picked up 50 or whatever. And it's just like, all of those have art pages. They're not all going to sell for $1,000. Like, if you find like a new book, you can maybe find, that artist willing to sell his page for $100 or something like that. So,
Yeah.
if there's something that speaks to you, then you can definitely find it there. So yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up. And the other thing what was the one other thing you said about Satari and them? Oh yeah, the variant covers and the commissions and all this stuff, and buying art. There's one point I brought up, and I want to bring it up again, because you reminded me of it, where with original art, it's in the name, it's art. right? So like a lot of times you're buying it just to enjoy it, and you
Yep.
should just appreciate it when you do buy a piece. Like I was talking about, on the stream, I was talking about commissions, and it's like I think of commissions as like, I have this blank space in my room and I'd like to put something there. So maybe I can get an artist to make something that would be meaningful to me. And it's like a furniture. It's like literally a piece of furniture that I'm like,
I do
need
like
for the
that you
space.
said that. Like, I like that you presented it like that, because that opened it up a little bit to be more than what the conversation was. And certainly, as an art gallerist for decades, a lot of the commissions I took on for artists that were showcasing in the gallery, that was it. They were like, I want something green that goes over the couch. And that would drive artists crazy, right? It would drive them absolutely insane. But it's also, there are people that will do that, but there are also people that will like turn that into, okay, well, let's make this interesting. What do you like? Are you married? Do you have kids? What's appropriate for the living space? What else do you have on your walls? So that's like a great entry point for discussing the possibilities of what can be a customized piece. I was so like, when you did that, I'm like, oh yes. And then they kind of took it back into a direction. I think they started speaking ill of Felix or something.
And it is because, and it is because of the nature of my channel, because it's like, we talk a lot about the values and stuff. And I think even for me, it's not always that I'm like talking about it from spec. I'm actually, what I'm trying to serve is just this idea of being prudent and savvy about how you buy and approach and all that stuff. And so that usually finds itself into value, but I'm just hoping that it makes people better buyers, I guess, is what I'm
and I think you succeed at that. And I'm glad I got to raise the point, and thank you for having me on.
Appreciate it, Matt. Anything else? Any other little free? Did you get anything on Free Comic Book Day?
I didn't get any free comics, but I did pick up a Marvel Age that had the Mazzucchelli Daredevil cover for $5, which I was happy about. I picked up a what else did I pick up? All back issues, which I think is really where the shops make their money anyways. So it's always just happy to support those guys. It's such a nice shop, and I got to introduce a couple people who hadn't been before.
Nice.
Cool.
Well, Matt, good to see you, man. I got another person in the backstage, so I feel like we'll let them on and say good evening to you, and hope to catch you on the next one.
Absolutely. Thanks, Mickey.
All right. Thanks, Matt. Well, there you have it. If you guys didn't know, I did do a live stream on Thursday with Dinesh and Zatari. We did a comic book original art show where I kind of asked them a bunch of questions. They actually happen to own a lot of original art related to the Thunderbolts film. So it was kind of like thematically appropriate to, have that whole conversation with them. And we went into a lot of different topics. And so Matt was reacting to that. So if you guys didn't see it, go check it out, because somewhere on my channel. All right. We got our next call-in guest. I see him there in the backstage. Is he good to go, Jesse? All right, let's bring him on. We got Jesse James back in the call-in show, 1/3 of the Industry of Comics show hosts. Good to see you, Jesse. What's going on, man?
Yep. I am just bag and boarding, something that a retailer does nonstop, right? Nonstop.
Yeah.
And the challenge is, what do you put in the background? And today I had Swag Show on the background. I actually was at the end of Jaws, just so you know, and I switched over to you. So even though I know what happens, but I thought I'd come over and support you today. So
I appreciate that. You know what's funny about that is, like, I use your guys' Industry of Comics show on Tuesdays as like my background thing, and like sometimes you'll send me the link, and it's like, I'm like, I would hop on, but I'm also like working on this other thing, and I just have you guys on the TV, and I'm just like, I just want to listen in. But I think that's what, I don't know, that's what YouTube is. I don't know if people in the chat agree with this, but I feel like so much of it is just like kind of, disrespectful, but like white noise. Like I just like having ambiance in the room when I'm doing other things. But always a great show. You guys should check them out. Industry of Comics show on Tuesday nights.
Yeah, I think it's good for teaching multitasking as well. As a retailer, you have to be able to listen to tons of people talking to you at the same time, and you need to be able to react to that extremely fast. A couple of things I wanted to bring up. First of all, Vince McMahon did not do a good job, because I'm still a RVD fan. And then my favorite women wrestler is Bayley. So I'm still a Bayley fan, even though she got screwed at WrestleMania. That's another topic for another show. So very interesting there. Interesting thing on the stickers. The stickers thing has been on Pre-Comic Book Day, has been a subject for a long time, because originally we would stamp our Free Comic Book Days books.
Right.
And it was weird because people really don't like their books stamped. So what do? We switched to stickers, which still defeated the point of people not wanting their product stamped. And I get why comic book stores do it. Most comic book stores do it because they feel a customer walks out, won't remember where they got their comic book from. If you're in Arizona, you can go to 24 comic book stores for Free Comic Book Day. So you're kind of saying, here's where you are. I never stamp my stuff because I think there's value to a non-stamp book for a consumer. It's not marked. Even people complain about Golden Age and Silver Age date stamped, right? But that was part of the process back in the day. There are people out there that love collecting stores that closed and they have their stamps on there. So there's a lot of people that like Atomic Comics stamps on their Free Comic Book Day. It brings them back memories. So Free Comic Book Day, very interesting on the method that it's done.
Yeah, that's such an interesting point you bring up, and it also kind of it always reminds me that it's like I'm thinking from a collector point of view. Most comic stores they understand that, but they're just giving this product. They're not thinking about like, well, the sticker's going to damage the book necessarily or whatever. So it's like it's not really on them. And Free Comic Book Day, it's like these are supposed to be like, giveaway, whatever. It's just now become a point where like some of them are collectible and some collectors have, become fans of them. So I guess they're kind of in a weird spot. And I even saw someone in the live chat say, well, why don't they just put a sticker on the bag? And it's like, well, you're not going to bag and board the free comic books, which is like a whole other conversation. Because I feel like, well, most stores don't bag and board their new comics either way,
Right.
even though people buy them like that. But certainly on Free Comic Book Day, it's just like, here you go, everyone grab, you take them.
Right, exactly. And the cost to do Free Comic Book Day is enormous. So first of all, the comics aren't free. And then you have to pay for tier status. So tier status is, do I want to be listed on the Free Comic Book Day page or I don't? If I do want to be listed on that page, do I want to be listed on top, right? So that means you guys spend more money for Free Comic Book Day. So I think what happens is some people say, if I'm going to lose money on Free Comic Book Day, how do I gain it? Free Comic Book Day isn't about the day. It's for a retailer. It's about retention, right? Do you retain customers the following week is how you tell if your Free Comic Book Day is good. So our goal was, can we pick up 5 to 10 more box holders that day, which was very, very important to us. Obviously, we're trying to figure out if Free Comic Book Day goes forward, and we're hoping that it does with this new decision. But Free Comic Book Day, very, very interesting. It's not what it was intended to be, what it is today, what it originally started for. And I think that's the interesting thing, that one day someone will document and tell the history about it.
Yeah, now it's just a marketing event for publishing companies rather than it was like just get kids to read comics and get hands in the store or books in the hands of the youth and all that stuff. So yeah, it is interesting how it's kind of turned over into that. But yeah, let me ask you about that really quick. I mean, for those who don't know, Free Comic Book Day, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but as I understand it, is still is a brand that actually Diamond owned, and they own this kind of brand, this idea, and this is Free Comic Book Day is all a part of this packaging of their sale of their business and stuff. So it is plausible that we just had the last one, is it not?
Yes, it's correct. It was created by Joe Fields from Four Colors in California. Great guy. It moved over to Diamond. Diamond picked it up because all of a sudden they could produce 850,000, 900,000 books going out to retailers, and they got paid for every single book, right? Most publishers would say, we'll do it for free. but no one's going to ship it for free, right? So there's going to be a portion there. There will be free comic book day. Will it be called free comic book day? That is the issue. The day will always stay as the day. Even if they call it the day, it is fine. People are used to it. It's part of our culture. It's part of our tradition to pay back the customers that support us 364 days a year. So I don't foresee it going away. I challenge comic book stores to try to figure out how to do it every month or every 6 months or every quarter by yourself. You don't need to follow those rules, right? There is a great question in your chat about a store not participating. Is it not affordable to that store? And those stores have to decide what they're trying to gain from free comic book day. And if you can figure out what you're trying to gain, whether it be sales, new customers, retention, new people to your webpage, introducing yourself to live streaming, introducing yourself to content creation, that's how you determine how you're going to do free comic book day. Is it to take pictures with 100 people, right? So you are correct. This is something that technically could be the last FCBD, but I'm sure something else will come into play to override that, right?
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I think you're right. It's become too important for shops, and even though, like you said, somebody was talking about how it's expensive, I think, and this is maybe just anecdotal, but from the shops I talked to, it's like one of their best performing days. So I feel like utilizing the first Saturday in May, like you said, it's still going to be a thing. That's going to be like a marketing tool for a lot of
Right.
comic book stores, whether or not comics. But I guess if the publishing companies are not creating specific titles that are free comic, or do you think like they'll just still do it?
So I think they'll always do it because they're already doing it already, right? Whether it be Batman Day, Harley Quinn Day, could
I
be
guess that's
Bad
true.
Idea
Yeah.
Day. So you can create your own ways to promote your book, and you should. Free comic book day should be the bonus and the extra. There you
But
go.
like this type of like they're gonna not be using that though.
Right.
That logo and stuff.
Right. And how important is that logo? I don't
Oh, I
know.
don't know.
That's a great question. If you
Yeah.
hand someone for free, how many people actually read it and say, "Oh my gosh, this says free comic book day on it. I got to have it." And I would stress to people that free comic book day is a bonus day for retailers. It's not like Black Friday. Black Friday is a day to get out of the red. This is a bonus day to attract more customers and get retention for your store. That should be the focus. And then you should also understand the budgeting of how to do it. You can go to comic book stores that give out one free comic, and then you got comic book stores that give out 10 free comics. My free comic book day when I had the store in Arizona was 72 hours. It started off on Friday and ended at Sunday night at midnight. We went 72 hours straight. We would give out 20, 25,000 books. Why? Because we had books in the back room we wanted to give out to customers. So I would stress to people, free comic book day is part of our culture. It's part of our tradition. But as we have seen in the comic book monopoly with Diamond at one point, that no longer exists. We can break trends and people will be okay with it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, are you going to be doing a show tonight on your channel or your Facebook?
Yeah. So I have been traveling. I have got this new goal of hitting 100 garage sales, estate sales, swap meets.
Oh,
From Friday to Sunday. That is my goal. Last weekend, I was in Georgia and I was in Alabama going to swap meets and garage sales and estate sales. I went to a swap meet in a forest, which was amazing because I found so much cool stuff. It was amazing. So I think when you go venture out, it brings you hope. It brings you get excited about selling stuff that you have a great story with. Saying, well, I buy a collection and it came in a box is cool, but saying I bought a book in a forest is even cooler. Going out, this has been the craze, going out and finding these young bloods. I've gone to almost 20 stores this weekend to find 3 copies. So I think
Yeah.
the rule of thumb is the hunt is live. It's exciting. You get to go on these live shows. Tonight is my 1,855th show. So I'm very excited about it, just like my very first show. And so I think that's what's about. We don't, and I guess I could leave you on this. Content creation and selling live is about the experience. The product itself is kind of cool, but if you like the person doing the presentation, you're then want to support them. And I think that's very, very important. Today, I did my spam report at Costco. And why? Because I know the people that follow me, they might not ever eat spam, but they still want my Costco spam report. And so that's where I leave you at, everybody. Go out, support your comic book store, support people like Swag and other shows out there beyond Wednesdays as well. We're in a different world, and you can live comic books 24/7, have fun, get up and do the same thing the next day.
Very well said, Jesse. Thanks so much for hopping on. And yeah, we'll catch you on the next one.
All right, we'll see you later.
Take care. All right, great to hear from Jesse James. Always a good comic book expert, purveyor of comic retail wisdom. And it's great to have him calling the show. I got another person in the backstage. I see Niobe in the house, who is, of course, using his avatar. I'd say, Niobe, are you ready? And you could give me a thumbs up. But I'm just going to assume that you are. I'm just going to assume that you are, and you're not mid-sentence on your stream.
Whoa.
But there he is. Live.
Whoa.
Hello.
Live and in 2D.
In 2D, in the pixel. We got Niobe Comics in the house. What's going on, Larry?
Brother, I just saw scrolling through the old Instagram, saw you were doing a call-in show, and I love calling into your show. I have no idea what we're talking about, but here I am.
The call-in show, it's a shoot from the hip show. It's always good to have you. You've been somebody who's been able to jump on. You always got good things to say and topics and stuff. I guess the theme is it was Free Comic Book Day this weekend. Yeah. Thunderbolts came out.
Yeah.
Did you participate in either of those two things?
I did, actually. Not Thunderbolts. I'm going to go see it Tuesday, but I've heard nothing but good things. And I think, that's great for comics. When a Marvel movie comes out and people are saying, yeah, it's the best one since maybe Avengers, yeah, it's got me excited to actually go see a movie again. As far as Free Comic Book Day, yeah, I picked up 6 or 7 books. My shop does the whole big deal. They have a big tent outside, and Nick Bradshaw from Marvel, he was there signing stuff, and because he lives in the area. And, it's a big hoopla, 30% off this, 50% off that, So I grabbed a few things. One of the things that I actually was kind of notable of getting was Heavy Metal #1 before the backers did. Did you hear about that? Heavy Metal reaching shops after doing a very successful Kickstarter. And I'm a backer, but I'm not mad. Some people are mad. I'm not mad. I'm just I understand how business works, and this is just the way of things. But got Heavy Metal #1. It was the last one left. My shop buddy that works there held it for me. He's like, I knew you would like this Tarna cover on Heavy Metal, so I put it away for you. So Free Comic Book Day for me was good.
That's good. Yeah. Heavy Metal is one that's I don't know, maybe I was a little bit younger, but that was a thing that it was a little before my time. So I never got into it in the same way. But now being older, looking back on it, I definitely appreciate the brand and the art that came out of all those Heavy Metal magazines.
For me, it was all about the movie. It's all about Tarna, the lead character at the end of the movie. One of my favorite characters of all time. I saw a video you did about Tom Brevoort and saying that Marvel Rivals doesn't add anything to comics.
Oh yeah, what did you think about that?
Well, I think it's bullshit.
Yeah. It's such a bad take.
I mean, of course it adds something to the comics. I know people that love Luna Snow, they love Magic, they love Jeff the Landshark. When Art Germ is doing your Jeff the Landshark variant, you've done something right. You know what I mean? People are buying that stuff, man. Absolutely, they're buying it. I don't know why he would say that unless he just doesn't want to give credit to the game because they might have sexy ladies in it. I don't know.
You think that's just one of those things where it's like he's in the building, and then they were like, "Hey, Marvel Rise really successful. Like, hey, could we incorporate Luna Snow in the da 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 book that you're working on?" And to him, he's just like, "Oh, this is so annoying."
Oh, I'm sure it's happened and has already been happening. You know, you're going to see a
Yeah,
lot more of Luna. You're going to see a lot more of some of these. Like, there's 5 new characters on the horizon. All of them are obscure. Like no one really knows. Like, if I go out on the street, right, and let's just say you're Joe Average, and I go, hey, do you know who Wolverine is? Chances are you're going to say yes. If I go, do you know who Forge of the X-Men is? You're probably 9 times out of 10, if you're average Joe, not going to have a clue what I'm talking about. And those are the types of characters that are on the horizon for Marvel Rivals. 5 of them, sort of obscure. If you're a comic book fan, yeah, you probably know them. But if you're just casual, probably not. And that's the cool thing about that game, is it gives you a taste of to these other characters that aren't necessarily so mainstream. You play the game, it tells you their first appearances. If you like choose a different outfit for them, it tells you the first appearance of the outfit. How can it not be an added plus?
yeah, of course. And it's one of those things, like, even on all the conversations that we had about Rivals when it first came out, it's like, it's not that everyone who plays the game is all of a sudden going to be like this massive comic book collector and comic book buyer, but like there's going to be people who become fans of, say, a Luna Snow, and some of those people eventually might say, "Hey, I'd like to actually read a comic book about her," and they'll find their way into the hobby. Like, it's just, how can you say that that's not going to be the case?
I saw some younger kids, they were girls, probably late teens, maybe early 20s, saying, at Free Comic Book Day, they were buying comics, saying they were just now starting to get into the hobby. So that was kind of encouraging, you know?
Yeah, I
So
saw a lot of young
maybe
people.
there's hope yet, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I actually saw a lot of younger people at my store when I went to Free Comic Book Day.
Yeah.
I'm actually starting to feel like I'm the older guy in the room all of a
Right?
sudden,
We
which
are
is,
the
yeah,
older
it's a good
guys in
thing.
the room. I mean, hands down, we are. There's no doubt about it, man.
That is true. That is true. And I think that that kind of weighs into, I don't know. Maybe I'm getting soft, Larry, in my old age, but with all
Mhm,
the movies and like the bad comics and
mhm.
questioning all this stuff, like I think I've just given up. I think I've just
Is it,
said, you know
are you
what?
ready to pack it in?
Or it's not. It's just, you know what? Hey, if they want to make Kamala Khan the face of Marvel comic, I don't care. Go ahead. Who cares?
Well,
That's
here's
how
the
I feel
thing.
these days.
But in that sense, we are sort of the dinosaurs, because they're not making these books for the appease the 50-year-old man. They're not, dude. They're
Yeah,
making books that they hope will gravitate to a younger audience, as well as they should, right? And this is why I do my own
yeah,
stuff. I get to call my own shots, do it my way. If I don't like what Marvel's doing, hell, I don't care. I got the power to do it my way. And you've written comics, you know what I'm talking about.
yeah. Totally. You know what's interesting is I'm just about to do a video this week about you know who Gary Vee is.
I heard the name.
He's how do I say this? He's like an entrepreneur influencer guy. Let's just say
Okay.
millions of followers and all this stuff. He just made a comic book out of like a brand that he created with like Whatnot and all this stuff, and it sold like out in like 19 seconds. They did like Whatnot packs and comics and whatever, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, I haven't seen anyone in the comic world talk about this, but the point of my video is just going to be the fact that's like, to what you were getting at. Like, here's this guy, he made this thing.
Mhm.
His audience bought this thing like crazy.
Yeah.
And that's just what it's going to be.
Well,
Like,
think about
this
this.
person's going to just
Blackpink.
sell like a million comics, and I'm going to have a YouTube channel about comics and be like, I don't even know who he is. But it's
Well,
like,
here's the
clearly he's
thing.
successful.
Do you know
You
who
know,
the K-pop band Blackpink is?
I do. Yeah.
Hey, do you know the member Lisa?
I don't know it that in deep, but
Okay, well, Lisa has her own comic book coming out, the graphic novel where she assumes all these different personas. And I'm going to tell you something, Swag, that's going to be
that's going to be the
huge,
number one selling. Yeah.
right? And it's not going to be
Yeah.
comic book fans that are buying. I'm sure some of them will be, but it's going to be Blackpink fans buying it, right? This goes to
Yes.
exactly what you were saying, you know?
Yeah.
So
We're going to live
everyone
in
has
this.
realized that there's sort of like this merch that they've never been doing, and they all now all of a sudden want to immortalize themselves into the world of comics.
I made the statement that to a friend of mine in comic like publishing, where I was like, I think comics is just merchandise at this point.
For
Like,
a lot of these
it's
YouTubers, it is, right? Andrew Tate
yes,
made his own comic, and it was
it's
horrible,
true. Yeah,
horrible.
I did not read it. But
Well, I saw it,
yeah,
and it's got like bubbles running off the panel, bagged like cuts for the print. Like it was just like the most horrendous POS you've ever seen in your life.
yeah, yeah. And that's the hard part. It's just that there's going to be people who make it for merchandise and it's going to sell really well to their audience. And then there's going to be some people trying to tell good stories because they love the medium. But there's just so much noise that it's going to be hard to get your brand out there.
Well, look, we're facing a lot of trouble in comics. Right? There's just sort of like there's been this for the last few years lack of interest, if you will.
Yeah.
Hopefully that is slowly changing. We'll see. But of course, we've had the destruction of Diamond, and God knows what's going on with that. Because every day I turn around, it seems to be a different story there. So
Yeah.
guys like me and you, who and you even more so than me, because you have a larger following, have to depend on your social media following to
Yeah.
get your book out. Right? You have a popular YouTube channel, and you're going to use that. For me, I got a little YouTube channel, but I've been on Kickstarter for 11 years. So that's what I use, right? Sort of like my longevity of how long I've been around. And I'll say this to your watchers, right now, it may soon be hard to find some of the smaller press comics. And the best way to support independent comics or small publishers is to come to our crowdfundings. That's sort of like the biggest thing right now. And I don't even have a crowdfunder on the go to promote to you, but I'm just telling you, that's the best way to do it. You're supporting that creator directly. You're picking out what you want. You don't have to wait for the store to get it, or they might get it, or they can't get it, or because of the diamond screw up, no one can get anything, you know. But that's sort of the best way, and it's going to be hard. There is, I have never seen, Swag, a time in my life where there's been so many creators in an industry that isn't booming. Like, why does everyone want to be a part of this now? Like.
True. Yeah, that's so interesting. Yeah, it's because people love it. They really do. Most people love it.
Yeah.
They think it's cool and sexy because it is cool to make a comic book, right? Like it. Even someone who's not into comic books will be like, "Wow, you made a comic book! Like that's so cool!" Like people definitely, I think, admire that creative process adventure. I mean, I think that they do. But how do you think it's going to work for people to cut through? Like, one thing I feel sort of bad for the consumer or the comic book buyer because, like, a lot of times people kind of say like, "Oh, there's no good comic books. Comic books suck these days," and mostly they're talking about like the big two for the most part. But the reality is like there's actually a lot of really good comics. It's just kind of hard to find them and like know where to start, and it's too expensive to sample everything, so you just can't. So I kind of feel like a lot of buyer comic collectors have like a paralysis of like Denny's menu, where it's like I don't know what to order. It's like there's too much here. I'm just
That's how
not
I
going to order
feel when I
anything.
like scroll through Netflix. You know what I mean? Like,
No, same thing. Yeah, I feel like that's the case in comic books, and so it's like, yeah, I don't know. Like you, as a creator, you got to reach out or like go into the Niobe world, like go into his YouTube channel and exist in your space for a time and support the kick.
well,
You know what I mean? Like that's how
I
you have
mean,
to do it.
there's many ways to sort of get yourself out there, but it's all going to be successful on various degrees. One of the big things that Brian Polito does and will swear by is a mailing list. I don't have a mailing list yet. That's sort of like one of the next things I need to put together is like some sort of newsletter that goes out every few weeks, and I just don't know what to put into it. Right. But I'll figure it out. Um, your YouTube, obviously for you, is going to be one of your major things. People recognize you when you go to cons. You're going to bring your books, you're going to sit at the table, you're going to sign autographs, you know, um, and because of your rep, and you have a very good rep, I'm sure certain shops would take you in even if you didn't have distribution. Just like, oh, you're Swaggle Yeah, we watched your show. Yeah, we'll carry your comic. You know what I mean? But distribution really is sort of like the main way to get out there. That's why I was with Antarctic Press to begin with. It was small. We didn't sell as many copies as Batman, but in theory, you could go to the shop and buy my comic, right? You can see it on the shelf. And how do you discover it? It's just like we did when we were kids, Swag. You walk into the comic book shop, you peruse the aisles, and you see something that catches the eye, and you go,
Yeah.
you know what? I want that.
Yeah. Distribution is so huge. Like it's such a big thing. Like and so you have to have the retailer supporting your book or at least giving you a chance and stuff in order to like have that success. Like you said, has there any update on that as far as like Antarctic Press as far, finding a home or anything? Any good news on that front?
Right now, it's still business as usual. As long as Diamond keeps sending out books, they're just using that particular method. If Diamond, all of a sudden announces, yeah, we're being sued, or someone took us over, or Universal's one, like whatever the story is now, and they're not doing comics, then right now they're looking at doing straight to consumer, which is crowdfunding, and they're looking at, and they've already launched the Antarctic Press app that you can get on iPhone that has all the comics there. So they just released that earlier this week, I think. So they got some
Well, they
things,
will.
but as far as distribution, they've been trying to get into random. They've been trying to get into Lunar, but as far as I know, there's been no real action on that. Like as far as either company sort of responding.
Lunar feels like it's more boutique, where they probably don't want to spread themselves thin. Penguin, it seems big enough where they could just do everything, but like maybe it's too small potatoes for them to
How
care about
many
it. So yeah,
tiny accounts do you want to manage and ship
yeah,
for
right,
pennies on
right.
the
That
dollar? It's
that
like the guy said in the Beyond Wednesday interview, we're not interested in selling $5 products. You know what I mean?
yeah. When he said that, I was like, does he know what he bought?
All right.
Like, yeah, I was like, and a lot of it is that's so interesting. Like with them backing out, I mean, there's a lot of developments that came, but I have to imagine that once they really dug into the numbers, they were like, this doesn't seem that
Yeah, we
appealing.
understand why this failed. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
totally.
Listen, man,
Yeah.
thanks
So
for having me on. I'll let you get to your other guest, brother.
yeah, no
But
worries. What's going on with the Niobe world? Like any little Kickstarters going on, we can let the people know.
well, I mean, the updates is we're almost done issue 4 of Outbreak, so we got 3 pages left to color. The book goes to lettering, and then we'll ship that out to backers probably in about a month's time. Outside of that, I got a 10-page story in Ninja High School 200, the Mammoth Milestone historic issue. Should be out July, August, I think. So, any of you guys out there that buy Ninja High School, remember that title fondly. I have a 10-page story in 200. So thank you to Ben Dunn for that. I will be at the East Coast Comic Expo June 13th and 14th selling Niobe. There's another con I've been invited to as a guest at the end of summer, and I'm just trying to find some other shows in between to sort of do. There's not much in my area. I'm a small area of Canada, right? But when stuff pops up, I try to be involved. And then we'll kick right off into the last issue of Niobe Outbreak number 5, probably at the end of summer. Get that rolling. And we'll see what happens from there. We'll probably do a trade paperback, putting all 5 issues together, and we'll do a Kickstarter for that. So lots of things on the horizon, sir. What about you? When's your next book?
Well, the goal right now is so I just I did my Kickstarter fulfillment, fulfilled that earlier this year. I'm gonna bring some copies to retail to just sell like directly on my website in case people miss that stuff. So I'll do a little like flamethrower commercial and maybe do something kind of fun, in that space. But I'm looking more towards San Diego Comic Con because I want to release that while also having my next Kickstarter sort of
You
at
want to
least
tie it all
the
together. I
pre-launch
gotcha.
page.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So but that pre-launch page will be the next Kickstarter, which will be later this year, will be for the 3 remaining issues. So then by the end of it, I'll have that first kind of story arc done. And so we'll see we'll see what happens after that.
Well, I hope you drop by the channel and talk to us about that. I'm sure that the small amount of people that do watch me would love to hear what it's like from your end of making comics. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we'll definitely, if you guys are not following Niobe, hop over to his YouTube channel. Niobe Comics is the name, and go
Yes.
support Niobe Outbreak.
Yeah, I do little small pre-recorded videos. We'll go live and talk business, and sometimes I play Marvel Rivals. So there you go.
There you go.
All right,
All right.
brother. Have a good one,
Good to
man.
see you
You too.
later. All right, there he is, Niobe Comics, Larry. Good to always talk to him. Great to hear what he's got going on. Be sure to go over to his YouTube channel, give him a subscribe. Go follow what he's doing on his comic book series. I backed his last Kickstarter, or maybe not the last one, the one before that. He does a lot of Kickstarter, so I backed one of them. It was great. It was a lot of fun. If you like hot, kick-ass ladies, which let's be honest, most comic book collectors like hot, kick-ass ladies. You're gonna like his book, Niobe. So go check it out. All right, let's check in with the chat here. What are you guys talking about? Jose had a question. Any update on when PSA will accept submission for comic grading? I don't think there's an official update, but I'll just say this. I've always speculated that San Diego Comic-Con is going to be when they decide to come out with their thing. I don't know, but I've just thrown that out. A speculation. All right. Looks like we got another person in the backstage. I see you, Chris. Are you good to go, sir? See, I'll see you. Let me see if you give it. I'll wait for you to give me. Oh, okay. I got the thumbs up. All right. Collector call-in show. We got Chris in the house. What's going on, man? It's good to see you again.
All right, good to see you. I'm on my iPad right now, so hopefully things can be showing okay.
Oh, that's fine. We got a dramatic shot of Empire Strikes Back behind you, which is feels appropriate for today, May the 4th.
Exactly. Well, I was just calling in because there's two things that I bought recently that are, I guess, they're more expensive than your average comic. The story is getting panned, but it's just something that I found that I like and I like flipping through, and it's actually the oversized Batman Hush issues.
Nice.
These were
Yep.
$14.99, of course, as you know. But I just like flipping through them. They're different. I like that they're at least trying something different
Yeah.
with those. Of course, it's
How,
Jim Lee art, so
how
that's
big is
good.
that?
But huh?
How big is that? Like relative to a comic book, is
They're
that twice as nice?
they're 11 by 17.
Oh wow. Okay.
And I had to search eBay for some bags and some boards to fit them.
Man,
And I
so
and I keep them on because I have some oversized art books about the Renaissance and stuff like that and Rembrandt. So I just kind of keep them like in between those on the bookshelf. But I don't know. I just saw those and I just like I got the regular size Hush issues, but I just picked those up too, and I just thought they were pretty cool. And I think if other companies did something like special like that, I think that people would probably buy those too. I know storage is an issue, and
yeah.
finding bags and boards for them is an issue, but when you're opening them and reading them on your kitchen island or something, it's enjoyable to just look at the art.
What did you think of the story and stuff? I felt like there was like mixed feelings about Hush too. Like if I went, at least on League of Geeks, there was like some people love it, some people were like, "This is terrible" and all this stuff. What do you
Well,
think?
I'm not. Well, I read the first run of Hush, and that was pretty good. But this one so far, it's just the whole conversation with Batman saving Joker's life. Because I've been past the point of just let him die. He's put
Yeah,
like 40, 50,000 people in Gotham in the ground. Just let him go. It's not. You'll be okay.
they can't because they got to keep the
I
train
know, but
rolling.
it's just like each to me like each writer that they have for Batman that comes after, they have to keep making the Joker more and more sadistic. So I'm just like, where's the stopping point for even that? Because it's like
Right.
is so I don't know that part of it about the Joker. I'm just kind of getting tired of him just being
That's so interesting you said that because it's like that's such a good point that it's like you have like what's going to be the next headline like when the creative team turns over and it's like
Mhm.
yeah, oh, the most vicious version of the Joker we've ever seen.
Right.
It's like obviously they have to it's the escalation is always there and it's at a certain
Yeah.
point it's like this feels, how would you call it, like just egregious, versus
Yeah.
like on brands of the characters. And I don't know, it's just what they
Yeah.
have to do to sell books.
Because I mean, once I think I saw that he was cutting off people's faces and wearing the skin, I was just like, like you gotta. At some point, you cross the line, even with Batman. So it's just like,
Yeah.
um.
Yeah.
But the other thing was, all. Do you travel at all, like international?
Yeah, like occasionally, I mean, not regularly for work, but vacation time
Okay.
and stuff.
Because I go to Peru like every year, and I've actually been to comic book comic book shows down there and festivals that they have. And every year they also have like I didn't know that they were that crazy in Peru for like Japanese anime and stuff. They have huge festivals and concerts down there for that stuff every year, and I just had no idea. But like in Peru this last weekend, I wish I had known about it before, but they had a comic book convention down there, and they had Lou Ferrigno and some other actors,
Okay.
and I saw that one of the band members of Nine Inch Nails did a comic book signing down there a couple weeks ago, and they had like DC and Marvel and independent comic book creators down there. So when people say that comic books are dying, I'm like, in a sense, yes, but it's still like popular in other countries because like even everywhere I've been, like Argentina or Brazil or well, I haven't been to Brazil yet, but Argentina, Colombia, and Peru, it's like I still see the most popular characters are like Spider-Man, Superman, Captain America. Even down there, the kids are wearing that stuff and they know who the characters are. They don't have near the comic scene like we do, but when I go into their regular bookstores, they have all the omnibuses, tons of manga. So, and it's like real popular stuff down there. So it's like, I don't know, just like everywhere I go, it's like a different kind of scene. So it's just kind
I
of
think
interesting to see.
for sure. The our comic books dying is definitely a little bit of a meme, you know.
Hmm.
For me, at least, you know, I'll make the joke about it. But like, I mean, they're dying in the sense that it's like, yeah, I think specifically floppies are
Hmm.
problem. They have issues, no pun intended, with like trying
Yeah.
to get people to buy and read that. And people in the chat were talking about how it's like, I mean, it's so expensive to be buying like a 6.99 thing, you know, versus like trades. I think are always going to sell pretty well. Like people will buy
Right.
a $20 trade, you know, everywhere.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, I feel like international markets have been pretty underserved
Yeah.
by the big two. When I feel like if I mean they could barely do a lot of things, and so asking them to go to international countries and do stuff is probably a lot. But like I
Yeah.
feel like there's so much potential globally for them, but they don't
Hmm.
lean into it.
Yeah. It's just interesting to see because sometimes you think only things are happening here in the States, and you go somewhere and you see like a different kind of scene. Because even like the coolest comic book shop I've ever been in was when I was in Buenos Aires, and it was like 2 stories, and they had all the statues and the books, but then they had like the second floor they had like a cafe where you could order coffee and just sit down and read and all. I'm like, this is so awesome. And maybe I'll have that in California. I haven't seen it on the East Coast over here, anything like that. But
No,
yeah,
there's nothing like that sounds like that. Yeah, I would
yeah.
love to actually next time next time I go international, I think I do need to do some like find the comic book shop in this
Hmm.
country because that would be
Yeah.
actually really cool to see that. Because yeah, I think there's definitely comic fans all around the world. I mean, someone earlier in the chat was like, you know, shout out from Argentina. So we have an Argentinian viewer right now.
Yeah, that's something I started doing. Was if whenever I go somewhere, I check out like one or two comic shops and see what's going on with that. And when I was in Peru last time, they actually have a cafe totally dedicated to science fiction and comic book stuff, and that was a cool place too. So yeah, things are out there if we look for them. But yeah, but I just wanted to show the Batman Hush stuff, the oversized stuff, and that I'm enjoying that, and that'd be a way for companies to maybe make some more money and do something different. And
How much
yeah,
is the oversized, really quick, just before you go?
they're 14.99. So
14.99.
yeah, they're a little pricey, but I mean it's if they're in the budget.
Well, for the reading experience, you recommend it. But
Yeah, but that's really one of the only because really I only buy like two things a month, and that's like Transformers and the Space Ghost. Really enjoying that, but I'm just buying these just because of it's Jim Lee doing it in the art. But normally, if it was just some random Marvel comic, I probably wouldn't do it just for that. But if the artist is right or whatever, I'll do it.
yeah, Well, Chris, thank you for hopping on. Thanks for sharing that. And, hopefully you have a great rest of your evening, and definitely be sure to tune in on the next one.
All right, thanks.
All right, Chris. Shout out to Chris hanging out. Repeat caller. It's great to see him again. $4.99. I know what you guys are thinking. You guys are thinking like, damn, dude. $4.99 is already expensive. $14.99. You know, it's interesting because the oversized ones, I've never bought them. I probably, I'm interested now. Now, when I go to my shop, I want to look at it because I want to know like what the experience is when you're actually flipping through it. But like, that company Distillery tried to do that where they did the oversized format and it was like more of a prestige book feel. And I get the logic, the logic tracks, but I think I think collectors are just really, I say this with love, guys, stubborn. We're stubborn, very stubborn, set in our ways. Okay, this is how we did it. This is how we like it, and we don't want change. That's how it is. So it's like, I think the distillery thing didn't work out for them. I mean, I don't know if that's the reason why it didn't work out, but I think that the large format is hard for people because they got their comic book boxes and they don't fit in the comic book boxes. I'm gonna stop talking now because we have another guest in the backstage. We got a world famous celebrity within the comic book space. We have one half of Bronze and Modern Comic Gods. We got John in the house. John, it's good to see you, man. Thanks for hopping
Hi.
on.
I'm always editing at this time, so I never get to join these things or see anybody. But I got done early, and I saw you were live. I wanted to say hi, and I'm enjoying the conversation backstage. And I thought, let me hop on just to give you all your props because you guys, or I don't have to tell you, you're watching the channel, but Swaggy is awesome, and I never miss an episode. And yay, Swaggle House.
Well, no, you're awesome. Okay, I'm gonna take all the compliments you just threw my way. I'm gonna push it back because I can't accept praise. So
mutual butt kissing
you guys-
society. I love it.
Yeah, no, it's a great. Well, it's funny because you guys have this wonderful show, and it's funny that you talk about how it's like, oh, you just put me on the background while you're editing stuff. I do the same thing. I like literally when I'm working on videos and stuff, I'll put you guys on the background. I'll put like automatic on the background. I have my like save to watch for later thing, and I just add everybody, and it's great. This is how I get all of my comic book news because I certainly don't know everything, so I get it from everybody.
Yeah, ditto. And I wanted to talk a little bit about what Chris was saying about the artist editions. I love them, but I hate them. There's no place to keep them. They're all in the garage. Thank God we have water sealed. We get rain in Southern California. It's true, people. But it's if I had a bigger house, they're coffee table books, but we eat in the living room, so the coffee table is where the food goes.
Are they flimsy? Are they like just the same as comic book
Well,
printed material, or do they have a hard spine?
We're talking about two probably different things. That Hush reprint, I think it's more like an old school Treasury edition, cardboard covers, Yeah. Whereas the IDW artist editions, where it's actual scans of the original art boards. It's like having you had an episode about buying original art, way out of my pay range, but the IDW books are the closest you can get without spending thousands and thousands of dollars per page. And Distillery, is that how you say it?
Yeah.
They've been around for what, 4 years now, and I've never heard anybody speak their name.
What's funny about that is like people will always give me shit in the comments. Maybe you've gotten it too before if I say a name incorrectly.
Oh my God.
But it's like, listen, I've never heard it out loud. I've only just read it. So how would you know if you've never heard it? But Distillery was one of those ones I've actually heard.
And I kind of feel, I see the intent behind them. I kind of feel bad for them because they picked a really crappy size. I mean, we are stuck in our sizes, at least Gen X and up. We're magazines. I don't want magazines.
That's legitimately one of the reasons I don't collect magazines, is because they don't fit in my comic book box. It's just literally that simple. Like, it's like, these are cool. I love the art. There's ones I'd like to buy. but I'm not putting this thing in sideways in my comic box. I'm just
No.
not going to do it. And I'm stubborn.
John Stout in the chat defending Distillery. So like I said, I love the idea. I love the creators. I just wish, I could get past that format. I'll read them digitally. Sure. I read everything on the iPad now. I got to be honest.
Yeah, I probably do more reading digitally.
Yeah.
You know what it is? I do the digital reading when it's like kind of homework reading for me. It's like, oh, I want to read Absolute Batman, whatever. I'm going to read the digital, or I'm going to read the Ultimate Spider-Man. I read it totally on Marvel Unlimited. But like, if I want to enjoy something, then I like holding it. So
yeah. But there's a big company. We guys were talking earlier about the kids, and I sound like such a grandpa when we refer to the younger generation. Sorry, everybody. I know everyone's cringing right now, but there is a real swing back to physical media from these younger people. Cassettes are coming back, for God's sake. The worst audio format next to the 8-track. My niece is 26 and she reads physical books. She does not want to read on a Kindle, and she's not the only one. I'm not, it's not a survey of one. Pop sequentialism. Yes, it's one of many. Thank you. I worked for years, but I'm filing stuff tonight. I actually have time to spend with my collection, which I never do. The husband's in Mexico City, so I got the house to myself. I got all my work done. I got all the editing done. So I thought I'm gonna watch swag while I'm filing things. And man, you guys, if you haven't visited your collection lately, do it. It's going to revive your love of this stuff, because we tend to like the drama and get into the negativity. Diamond and $4.99 cover prices. I'm with you. But like you, Swag, your Avengers collection. Did you finish?
I did finish it. Yeah. And every now and again, you got to, like you said, you got to go over to your bins. You got to flip through. You got to go, look at that.
Right. I forgot I had the first appearance of the Cosmic Cube. I'm like, oh wow, because I'm like, I know this became a key, and I'm like, my goal this year is to finish my Cap Tales of Suspense run, so I'm going through them, and I was like, well, crap, that's really cool. And instead of filing it away, I opened it up. I looked at the house ads.
What's so funny about that one little thing is like there was a conversation about the UV protection. Did you see that whole thing?
Yes.
And so a lot of people were like,
number 3, by the way.
Yeah, poor Buck. It was the sacrificial lamb. But like there were so many people that were just like, comics are meant to be like put in a dark closet and like stored away forever. And it's like, I get it. I totally get it. But at the same time, I'm like, come on, I want to have like I can't be so like never look at my books.
Yeah.
I have to look at them sometimes. And so I'm at a little bit of a how do you say it? Like trying to figure out that process of like, I want to look at my stuff. I don't want to keep them in basement in dark forever.
Yeah. We in Southern California, not like the Midwest where, we could have a house with a full basement. And, because I would be displaying my stuff everywhere, but it's all here in the office, shunted in a closet, in boxes. So I never get to spend time with them. So tonight I made a special appointment. I'm really glad I did, because it's a little inspiring. It's got me back into it.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. I mean, so what else, John? Anything else before, I don't know if you got to run, but we'll let you go.
Let you get back. People have enough of me. I just wanted to come on and sing your praises, and everybody slam that like, hit that subscribe button, blah, 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 blah. You know how it goes.
Well, we appreciate you. Go sub up to Bronze and Modern Gods, the greatest comic book YouTube channel in Southern California. All right.
One of 4,000. Bye.
Bye. There he was, John from Bronze and Modern Comic Guides. Always good to see him. I always run into John at all like the comic book shows and stuff. It's always fun seeing him and Richard, and we always have a good time when we run into each other. So go check out their YouTube channel, one of the best comic book YouTube channels there is in all of comic book YouTube land. What else is going on in the chat? Here we are. We've been going about 1 hour and 39 minutes. My goodness, time flies when you're talking comics. We see Automatic Comics is in the house. Shout out to him. Now that Automatic Comics is in the chat here, we have to talk about the real debate, the real controversy. And I feel bad because I thought it was being hilarious that I had this in one of my videos, but I feel like no one said anything about it, even though I was like, this is hilarious. One gorilla versus 100 men. It's gonna be 100 men. If you are on Team Gorilla, one, you are, I see you as not being, I see you as anti-human, okay? You're giving us not enough credit. And two, three, whatever it is, dude, we are so taking that gorilla down, man. Gorilla ain't got nothing. Once we dogpile them, 12-6. 12-6. Dude, the videos on the 100 men versus one gorilla, I can't get enough of them. My algorithm keeps feeding them to me, and I keep watching them because they're hilarious. Every single one. Every single one. Gorilla versus men. Wait a minute. Okay, 100 comic book collectors for sure can take down a silverback gorilla. 100 Silver Age comic collectors versus one silverback gorilla. We're still taking it. We're still taking it. Listen. Some of us have to go down, okay? And those who do will be noble sacrifices. We will never forget their name. But I'm going to be like entry number 26. I'll be like 26. You guys be like the first 25. I'll be 26. All right? But I promise this, at 26, I will be there. I will be there fist ablazing. Okay? I will be in it to win it. But I'm gonna need 25 of you guys to go first. That's all. That's all I'm saying. Oh man. That's true. 100 you know what? Actually, I don't know, guys. I think 100 comic collectors are gonna have some bad knees. You know, we're gonna have some bad knees. I don't know if we're gonna have like, you know, the stamina, you know, here. It's in the old age, some aching bones. We need some sprightly, you know, young Pokemon collectors. Okay. The Pokemon collectors are fresh. They'd be able to take it down the gorilla. All right. We had another person in the backstage. They have their camera off. Sam from Sonoba Publishing. I see you, sir. I don't know if you were there. I know who you are. You don't have to go camera if you don't want to go camera. But I don't know if you're ready. So maybe you can message me in the private chat and just say like, oh, you're good to go and I'll bring you on. But just let me know. But I'll wait. But you're next, either way. Only thing 100 comic book people could do is take down. That was good. That was good. All right. All right. Sam is ready. Sam is ready. We are going to bring him on right now. Sam from Snowball Publishing. Sam, it's good to see you, sir. What's going on? Or hear from you.
Yeah, good to see you, man. Sorry, I'm having to use my phone. We had some pretty big storms through here the last couple of days, and my internet's cutting in and out. So, on top of that, today was the day I tried to download the new remastered Oblivion, so it's eating up basically all my network bandwidth at the moment.
Dude, I saw a lot of like gaming streamers and stuff playing that thing, and it just reminded me. I was like, oh my god, I love that game. I like kind of want to buy it.
And I did. I went ahead and bought it. I actually never played the original Oblivion because I was still playing Morrowind. And then by the time I was tired and ready to do something else, Skyrim had come out. because I played the hell out of Morrowind, and then I just played Skyrim.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be neat to get to it.
Can I say one thing? Just a
Yeah.
little bit. This is legitimately one of my sort of proudest, I don't know, like career moments. And I feel like now you will appreciate this. So when when Skyrim came out, you remember the arrow in the knee meme?
Yep.
So if you guys don't know in the chat, there was an NPC that would say like, "Oh, I used to go to war, but then I got an arrow in the knee." An arrow in the knee became like the ridiculous internet meme thing, and this is like 2012, like kind of like now
Yeah.
everything's an internet meme, and it's like Haktua, whatever, whatever. But that one was like came out and it was hilarious, and everyone was talking about it. And so I made this music video for this group called LMFAO. There's a song called "Sorry for Party Rocking," and there's a hospital patient in it. Don't need to know all the details. He's just in it. And I said, guys, he's got to be a hospital patient, and the reason for his hospitalization's got to be an arrow in the knee. And we did it. We made it. And it was in the music video, and I directed it. And then when the video came out, I saw the top like comment was like, "Did you see the guy with the arrow in the knee?" And I was like, "I won the internet. I did it." And that was my proudest moment. Anyways, that's my story. Hopefully you enjoyed that.
That's awesome, man. I love that. That's pretty badass. I'll
Yeah.
tell you,
But-
I love catching the show whenever I can. As you know, with everything else that's going on with comics, I am always swamped with trying to navigate the perils and stuff of the distribution problem. It's kind of like trying to solve for warp drive. So it's been interesting, but it's always good to catch the show, man.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm glad you're tuning in. What's going on with you, or what's on your mind?
So the thing on my mind, I want to give a huge shout out to a lot of folks out there who have been working really, really hard on actually trying to solve like the comics distribution thing. I'm talking to a lot of people who are making the calls and sending the samples and getting in touch with different shops. And it's good to see folks that, for years I said, hey guys, you got to do the legwork. And now they're out there and they're actually doing it because there's not much another choice at the moment, right? So it's good to see people who are getting books into shops the hard way. And yeah, it is hard, but just wanted to celebrate some of those folks, Pete and Dan, and of course folks like Max DeVille and a few others who have put stuff in through comics mainstream distribution, and a few others. Just kind of trying to shine a little light of hope for the folks who are getting, even if it is only like 10 books or 20 books or whatever at a time out into some shop locations. They're at least getting their books out into other audiences. And just a few words of encouragement for everyone who is working hard to create their vision. The thing I say that I get a lot of crap for is like, you're never really defeated until you yourself give up. So just keep pushing forward, be responsible to your financial health, but see your vision through and make it happen. And then I've got something I'm gonna send you sometime when I can send you a DM for it, because we have a new project coming out. I'm not gonna show it here right now because I can't share images on my phone. But we're doing a human artist magazine. I was gonna release it next year, and then on Twitter/X, some dude sent me a thing about how, hey, I can do your whole book through AI in like, 10 minutes. And I'm like, no, you're never going to do a book of mine through AI, man. It just kind of annoyed me. So I decided to move the art by, humans for humans kind of project forward to this year. And we're going to actually bring it to crowdfunding probably the end of this month. Finishing up some of the articles. We've got all of the art in. Got the cover art in, and just definitely want you to see it because it's freaking amazing, man. So I'll send you a sneak peek when I can, because it's gonna blow your mind. Damian Torres, the same gentleman who does the work on Tibian time traveling psychedelic mushrooms, lent his tremendous skills. Spent 23 hours on this cover, and it is freaking gorgeous. It's probably the second best looking cover I've seen all year, right behind his NSFW version of Tibby 2. So just absolutely fantastic. So, but I want to
that's awesome.
Celebrate all these people who are making beautiful things happen in their own art style, exercising their own creativity, and whether they're the next person to sell 50,000 copies or the next person to sell 5 copies. I just want to just take a moment to respect the hustle, the effort, and the courage it takes for these folks to all bring their vision to the world, because it's a lot of things, but it sure the hell ain't easy.
Yeah, I mean that's so well said. I mean, kudos to them. Kudos to the names you brought up. I totally agree. It's like people have their dreams and their passions, and they put their blood, sweat, and tears in their projects. And so, the only way for them to see success or to whatever or be fulfilled is to have people support them. So, like, I'm always happy to promote people and get the word out. And it's there's a lot of really good stuff out there. There's a lot of really, really talented people and creative projects. So I always encourage people. I was like, you just seek it out. Look, go support an independent creator's thing if you like it. And so yeah, big shout out to anyone who's doing it on that space.
And I got a big question for you before I scoot, because I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know you probably got some other people waiting in the background. What are you going to win your next Emmy for?
What am I going to win it for?
Yeah.
Is this like a manifestation thing?
It's more something. What are you doing right now that you believe so much in that you can see it putting another trophy on your table, bro?
Oh, interesting. I can't really talk about
Okay.
it, but I do a lot of work with Wizards of the Coast, and I'm very excited for their future of things that they're working on. I'll put it like that. And my own personal projects, like yeah, I have screenplays I've written that are out in development ether, and maybe one day those will see the light of day, or they'll be made. And if they're made at the level that I think they can be, I'm very proud of the work, and I think that those could be something that are heralded and celebrated. So,
and see, I think that's
I guess
something
that would be
I think that's something we really all wanted to hear, because you spend a lot of time shining a light on so many other people and doing so much to help the communities involved in comics. I think that every once in a while we just have to take a step back and appreciate not just the effort you've done, but the effort you've put into these fabulous things that you're creating as well, and just let you have that moment to just kind of shine, just you, and so the rest of everyone can just say, Swaggle House, man, he's putting it together. So I hope that everyone who's watching this right now, everyone who watches this on the playback afterwards, if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're liking this, share this around, and let's add a 0 or so to the number of subscribers this man has on his channel, because he works really hard. He does a fantastic job. I'm really sorry I don't have like my avatar or anything else like that. Just like I said, network stuff. But just hats off to you, man. Keep up the damn good work. And it sounds kind of weird for fans to say this, but really proud of the effort that you put in day after day to make a difference, not just in everyone else's work, but in your own. And I hope that you have nothing but success for years to come. And I look forward to the next time I can talk to you, when I can actually see, when you actually see my face and everything.
Yeah. Well, damn, Sam. I mean, that was really nice to hear. Thank you for saying that, man. But I appreciate you hopping on, and yeah, definitely please tune in the next one and people can see your face. And I definitely look forward to seeing that AI project, or not AI project.
Non-AI project. Yeah, do me a favor and send me a message. Send me a message through whichever channel you want to see it on. I'll drop it to you probably in the morning when I have more stability on my network.
Sounds like a plan.
All right, later on, brother.
All right, Sam. Thank you. Well, there you have it. Sam from Sonova Publishing. Go check out Sonova Publishing. He's always doing great projects, great crowdfunded stuff. Go support him. Check him out. And yeah, man, that was nice. That was really nice for him to say that. I'm a little bit touched, actually. That was good to hear. It's good to hear. Sometimes you need a little pick me up. It's hard to accept compliments. I don't like compliments. What is that? But yeah, appreciate that. Try to work hard. Try to do cool stuff on the channel. Try to help people in comic book land. And hopefully you guys enjoy it or appreciate it or whatever. I don't know. Trying to make cool shit, cool stuff, like a comic book, sanity, or directing things in my directing life, or writing screenplays. Trying to tell stories that help people, that get the word out there, or connect with people emotionally, that sort of thing. And that's nice. It's definitely nice. It's nice to hear that. Because I think as creators, you always live in your head a lot. And one of the things that it kind of reminds me, maybe we can put a little bow on this whole thing, is the Thunderbolts film, which we might get into a little bit of spoilers here. I thought the end was actually pretty touching. I know a lot of people who didn't like the movie maybe thought it was corny or cheesy, like the darkness and that whole thing. But I actually thought it was kind of nice. I actually kind of liked the whole theme of it and how it came together. And it's like, yeah, the way that the characters viewed themselves was much worse than how other people viewed them. And a lot of the theme of the movie was like, you need to be around other people so that they can reflect a proper image at you, because how you see yourself sometimes is a lot worse than how the world sees you. So I think that was kind of like a nice thing at the end of the film, and what it all meant. And I think it's just very, very true of what everyone needs in life. Community. We all need each other. We all need to belong, to have people to lean on. Everyone's always feeling alone and lonely, but there's great people, friends, and community members out there, even in this crazy world of comic book land. And that's what you need to do. I know the comic fam is a bit of a meme, but it's real. It's definitely real. So I appreciate that. I appreciate what Sam said. I do. All right. Well, we are at 1 hour and 56 minutes. Shout out to everyone in the chat for hanging out. Shout out to you guys. I think I'm going to go 4 minutes. We're going to make this a nice, even 2-hour thing, and we're going to get there. But what else can I add? What else can I talk about in life? Some things. We'll just hang out for the next 4 minutes. Dude, I was so pumped about the arrow in the knee thing. I know it's a super random story, but it was like so funny. Like it was like this was like 2012. So it was like now it's so obvious. Like obviously if I make a video, like the comment is going to highlight the thing, the blah 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 whatever. But like in 2012 it's like that language, that like meme culture was not the same thing. And the fact that like you at that stage you could see that there was like this communication with the audience. Like I was directing this thing and it's like I'm going to put this thing in, and not everyone's going to understand it, but those who see it are going to understand it. And the people did. And I was just like, God, the internet is awesome. That's when I was, the internet is so awesome for that. It was so cool. All right, let's see what people are saying here. You going to Heroes Con? Eric says, you know what, Eric? Is Ozzy still in the chat? I don't know if I am going to go. It's like, it's San Diego Comic Con, I think is like the week before Heroes Con or something like that, or it's the week after. They kind of like overlap a little bit. I want to go really badly. Maybe I will FOMO. Maybe I will FOMO the last second and I will go. We'll see. We'll see. Everyone says it's the best, though. Everyone says that it's definitely the best. Jay says, what are you eyeing for OA in the future? So much stuff. Honestly, like so much stuff. Like I'm learning a lot about the video game original art. It's hard though, because it's like there are pieces that I know that I want, but it's not like I've found those pieces or I've seen those pieces. I'm just like, yes, in theory, that would be cool to own. Perfect example of something. It's not something I want to own, but like, think about like those Nintendo original art game cartridge stuff. Like, remember like the original art for Contra? Like all that stuff was oil painting stuff. And that stuff would be crazy money, like no doubt. But like there's those types of things where I'm just like, where's that piece? Where does that thing exist? You know? And so there's a lot of that stuff that I'm looking at. There's other paintings that I'm really getting into, uh, like original art for like Boris Viejo or like, I mean, I'm never gonna buy a Frank Frazetta, but I can pretend. I'm not gonna say I'm never gonna buy a Frank Frazetta. Maybe I will buy a Frank Frazetta one day, but at this current moment in time, it's a little out of my price range. But maybe one day. So there's things like that. And then comic art. I'd love to buy an Alex Ross piece just to have one. So when the right one comes along, I might make a play on that, but it's got to be the right piece of his for me. What up, comic book boys in the house? What's going on? Good to see you guys. Go give comic book boys a follow. They got great auctions, great Instagram, always selling, great dudes. I can hear Ozzy's heartbreaking from here. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. We'll see. We'll see. Eric Chang, what's going on, Eric? Thank you so much. Became a YouTube member. Shout out to you, Eric. I appreciate that. Hopefully you enjoy it. Post a couple silly memes or little emojis and stuff that I got. I'm gonna do more YouTube member content stuff. I'm gonna try to figure that out. Either I don't know. Actually, I should ask the members. I'll make a post about this. It's just like, what can I do more stuff? There's things I've been thinking about too, where it's like just more casual videos, like stuff that I wouldn't make a video about, but maybe is interesting. I mean, I don't know what you guys find always interesting, but like even if it's just sharing like, hey, here's stuff that I'm thinking about buying, or like this original art question. Hey, here's my original art that I'm thinking of getting, and I could like talk about that stuff and just do that. You know, it's like for a video, that wouldn't necessarily be that interesting for the audience, but I don't know. Maybe I can do more member stuff. We'll see. Matt says, I hosted an exhibition of Origins Atari art a few years ago. They were quite affordable then. Don't tell me that, Matt. Don't tell me that, because then it's going to be like, now they're going to be like whatever, $10,000. You know, it's like, or I don't know, maybe they won't be. But those types of pieces, I'm very interested in that type of stuff. Alan says, are you still reading or mostly just buying keys and art? No, I'm still reading. Well, the answer to your question is both. I'm still reading and mostly just buying keys and art. But most of what I'm reading is mostly indie stuff or like older runs. I will read the popular new things. So, but I kind of read them more for like uh, skin in the game or knowledge, like mostly for the YouTube channel. It's like the ultimate stuff, like Ultimate Black Panther. Like I didn't really like feel like I needed to read it, but like there was a video about it, so I read it. You know what I mean? So it's like that stuff I will read just to stay on top of it. But a lot of what I read for my own personal kind of enjoyment is like older issue stuff. I'm getting into like, you know, Ed Brubaker is my favorite writer, so I read everything that he writes. And Criminal is one that I'm trying to like get caught up on. So that's one. Let's see. Money Viking says, hi, so I always love your content. San Diego guy here, grew up going to Comic Con in the early 90s when it was all about comics and art. Thanks for your show. Longtime fan collector. Money Vikings, appreciate your comment. Thanks for hopping in. San Diego Comic Con is going to be a good one, guys. It's going to be a good one. I have something I'm working on, you know, that Sam was talking, you know, and he's asked me, you know, what are you working on? I'm trying to put something together that for San Diego specifically. I'm not going to talk about it yet because it's like, it's not ready to be talked about, but it does involve us here in YouTube space. I'll just put it like this. This is going to be 5 years now. I'm doing this YouTube channel. I've gone to San Diego a bunch of times. I've been feeling like I should do something a little more elevated at San Diego this year. Like maybe something a little more interesting, you know, maybe make something that's a little elevated content. So that's kind of my goal. That's what I'm looking to do. So hopefully I can make that happen and it'll be interesting or cool for you guys to watch. I really want to make something more special. I'm feeling the itch. I'm feeling like I want to be creative, more creative in YouTube. So I'm going to work on something there, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And then maybe there will be something interesting to like parallel path it on YouTube as content, because it's like if I'm going to be making something, then like maybe I'll do two birds with one stone. I'll make videos about the thing that I'm making for the thing for the YouTube channel. You know what's interesting? I have now made 1,000 videos on YouTube. I just saw this the other day. I thought I would make a video talking about how I made 1,000 videos because I was going to do something about like I've made 1,000 videos, and what is the saying? If you do 10,000 hours, you're an expert. Not to say that each video takes 10 hours, but if we're going to think about like I've made 1,000 videos about comic books, and like they certainly take some hours, and then like you're just thinking it of video stuff passively, you know. It's like I think it's fair to say that I've now done 10,000 hours of comic book YouTube making. So technically, I'm an expert at making YouTube videos about comic book content. Frankly, I don't think I'm even that good at it. But I was going to do something about that. And I was like, oh, here's 5 things I've learned in making 1,000 videos. One thing that I've learned is never forget Guy Gardner's name. That's probably the most important thing I've learned. Otherwise, people will get mad at you in the comments. I don't know. I'm just rambling now. We did it. We're at 2 hours. All right, guys. I'm going to wrap it up here. I'm going to say thank you guys so much for hanging out. Thanks for everyone who was calling in to the Collector Call-In Show. Again, the Collector Call-In Show is a show for you guys to share whatever it is going on in comic book collecting land. I hope you guys had a wonderful free comic book day weekend. Thunderbolts, recommend. I thought it was a good movie. Is it the greatest movie ever? No. Is it a good movie? Yeah. You know what I'm going to do? Really quick. Okay, this is not official. This is the pseudo-official tier list of Marvel movies. Let me just see where the stuff is. Listen, Iron Man 1 is here. Hulk is here. Iron Man 2 is, I don't know, here. Thor was better than Iron Man 2. Captain America was better than or Iron Man 2. Avengers, the first Avengers is goated movie. Iron Man 3 is a C movie. I'm not going to do the TV shows. Dark World is somewhere here as well. Winter Soldier is like, almost S tier. Guardians is S tier. Age of Ultron is like, it's like not a great movie, but like it's a great MCU movie. So I have something like that. But like, it's not that good. Ant-Man is really good at what it's trying to do. Civil War is one of my favorites. I would put it there. Doctor Strange is a little bit like a little flimsy to me, to be honest. I don't know, like maybe a high C. Guardians 2 is also a little flimsy, somewhere in here. I don't know. Spider-Man. Spider-Man is actually pretty solid. I'd probably put it here. Thor Ragnarok was also solid. I don't know. It's like there. Black Panther was like, it was okay. Honestly, I'm a little bit more mid on Black Panther than most people as a total movie, but it's probably in the middle. Avengers Infinity War is up there. Ant-Man Wasp was pretty bad, to be honest. Endgame is probably up there. Captain Marvel is pretty bad. Actually, Ant-Man Wasp was better. Spider-Man Far From Home was pretty decent, kind of around mid, I don't know, somewhere. Is it better than Age of Ultron? It's better standalone movie, but this. And then I'm not going to do TV shows. Black Widow was kind of meh. I'd probably rather watch Dark World. Shang-Chi, I was not really big a fan of Shang-Chi. Eternals was pretty bad too, but it's kind of interesting. Far From Home was pretty great. I really enjoyed that. I might even put it up there. Doctor Strange is pretty bad. Thor Love and Thunder was pretty bad. Wakanda Forever was pretty boring, to be honest. Quantum Mania was pretty bad. Guardians 3 was pretty fun and good. I might put it like, I don't know, here. Deadpool Wolverine, I actually kind of enjoyed that quite a bit. Maybe here. And then what else? Captain America Brave New World was pretty bad. I don't know. It's like here. And did I do everything? I don't know. Okay. And then Thunderbolts. I think Thunderbolts is. I think it. I think it works. Like it's just like it's kind of like. I think it's like middle. You know. It's kind of like it's like Iron Man 2 level. You know what I mean? It's like Iron Man 2 is like a movie that's like, yeah, it was like kind of fun. There's a lot of things that are like kind of wrong with it, or like things that don't work. But like you still like it, but like it's kind of, but I think it kind of works better than Iron Man 2, to be honest. You know? I think I would put Avengers 1 as number one, and then like probably something like this. Guardians probably a better movie, but like Avengers is just so epic. Um, this maybe Ant-Man's a little bit better of a movie. Guardians 3, Far From Home. This, yeah, it's kind of like in here. It's somewhere in this B tier to me. That's where I put Thunderbolts, in that B tier. You know, do I stand by this list here? This, honestly, I might actually put these movies kind of more like this. You know what I mean? I might just kind of bring them down a tier or so. Wakanda Forever, maybe like that. This is like it's like the Mendoza line in Mendoza line in baseball. It's kind of like Iron Man 2 / Age of Ultron. These are like the lines, and Thunderbolts is like kind of right in this line. It's kind of like, it's kind of like Far From Home, Thunderbolts, where it's like, is Far From Home like this great movie? No, but it was fun and I kind of enjoyed it. Thunderbolts is kind of right in there. It's like Age of Ultron is like a very uneven movie, but it's a very good MCU world building thing. So it's kind of hard to rate that one. So that's kind of where I put it. Oh, we can't end the show yet. We can't end the show. How can I put Hulk as the worst movie? Lol. Dude, Hulk is not good. I don't know if I put it as the worst movie. It was just one of the first ones I went, but it's down here, man. It's down here. And I've watched these movies somewhat recently. There's a lot of, like, Hulk is just Hulk and Brave New World are like kind of similar in their like it just is all over the place. Anyways, that's my thing. I thought it'd be fun, but we have one more surprise guest at the very end of the show. Give him a big shout out to Dave, West Coast Dave, Avengers in the house. What's going on, Dave?
Hey, what's up? I forgot you were doing this tonight, and then I saw you were still on, and I was like, he's talking about Marvel movies. And we just had like a 2-hour conversation the other day about Marvel movies.
We did have that. And that, what's funny is like I was going to do a tier list, but I did this really fast, and now I feel like I've spawned like an entire conversation with my tier list here. But I did it like in a rush to figure out where I would put Thunderbolts. But I put Thunderbolts in a fun middle kind of thing.
I need to see it again. I enjoyed it, but the third act lost me.
You didn't like? See, I thought it got better as it went along.
I know. I heard you say that, and I was it's just one of those things where like I was enjoying the chemistry very much like the first all the Guardians movies or the Avengers movies. But then towards the end, I was just like, yeah, and the way it ended where Val was like here, like, come on.
Listen, there were a lot of clean like happenings, I guess, is what I would call it, in that movie. That was like a lot of like contrivances, but I thought that they did enough where I was like, okay, that makes sense. Like, perfect example to me is like I saw a reviewer that was critiquing the fact that it's like they didn't like that we're in spoiler world, guys. They didn't like that the Red Guardian like showed up in the limo to find him. It's like, how is he going to find them? Blah blah blah. And I'm like, no. I think that these are fair because it's like you established him as a limo driver. Okay. And you had a whole thing. And then the next scene was like, oh, Contessa's in a limo and he was driving. And it's like, this is plausible. I think screenwriting me allows that makes sense. And then the fact that he shows up is like, it's all plausible. So it's like, there's those contrivances that I'm like, I think that they set him up enough for me to be like, you know what, I'll let that pass.
Sure. Look, there's no part of me saying that it was a bad movie. I just, like I said, the third act lost me. Whereas like you watch the first or third Guardians movie and it's like, But that's James Gunn, so it's almost not fair.
Yeah, true.
And I don't know much about this director that directed Thunderbolts, so I can't really speak to that. But the chemistry between the cast was top notch. It's
Yeah.
what we love about comics that we don't get in comics, because you can't really feel chemistry in writing as much as you can in acting.
Yeah. I think that all those actors are obviously very talented and successful outside of their Marvel work. Like they were gonna be able to bring some, charisma, whatever, no matter how bad the movie was. Like it's just, you're putting these talented people together, like they're gonna be able to create something interesting, and they certainly did that.
Well, it was I heard you say when on your review that you didn't love the first part of it, but I was like, yeah, I love when comic book movies let main characters monologue, because or kind of like what we're used to in narration. It's why I love the Batman so much, because you get in the first 20 minutes Pattinson is narrating himself the way that Batman does in every single comic. And so the comic lover in me, when I'm hearing her, when I'm hearing Florence, talk about all this stuff, I'm like, yeah, this is a comic. This is exactly how you read a comic.
Yeah. You know what's funny about that is, like, okay, I totally get that. And I think you're totally right from a comic perspective. But you know what? Film me gets thrown back to like filmmaking class or school or whatever, and like a professor going off about how it's like you can't just have voiceover for no reason, because why are we in this character's head and being all strict about that? And it's like it's okay in comics because that's the medium, but then in film it's like, why are we able to hear this person? And usually when movies are really tight, it'll be like, oh, you see them journaling, and then therefore like that's why we can hear it. Or it's like sometimes they'll be monologuing. You'll start a movie opening with a monologue, and then all of a sudden it'll cut to them, and it's like, oh, they're doing their podcast, and
Yeah,
actually their opening monologue was them podcast. It's like those things are like the way to do it, but that's just a like film rule that's like cannot compute, type of thing, where it's like it's a hang up for me.
But I mean, I can't remember all 3 hours of the movie, but doesn't Henry Hill narrate all of Goodfellas? I mean, doesn't Scorsese always does that?
There's no rules. I know
Yeah.
there's no rules. If it works, it works. That's the reality.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. But I enjoyed it. It's just hard right now for me to get away from how good Sinners was. Like everything else is just some lower level of film right now.
That's totally fair, because
Yeah.
like, actually, I haven't seen Sinners yet. I should caveat that. But as far as like Thunderbolts is concerned, it's like, yeah, I mean, this isn't absolute cinema.
No.
This is just fun. Yeah, it was fun Marvel.
So I was here earlier in the night, and I wanted to say, somebody had said, I want to see a comic version of Sinners, and I'm here to tell you that you should be reading Bitterroot by Chuck Brown, by Sanford Green, and God damn it, I can't remember the other one's name. But yeah, that is basically what Sinners is in a comic book form. It's Bitterroot. So
very good recommendation. Well, yeah. Dave, I guess take us home. Any other little thoughts to wrap up the weekend, Free Comic Book Day, or anything you got going on?
Well, I got my, I dropped can you give me 1 sec? I want to show you something.
Yeah, let's see it.
Hold on.
Shout out to Dave here. I'm going to catch up on your chats. I'm going to see Black Widow's D, Deadpool 3 is S. Haven't seen Thunderbolts. Infinity War was the best movie. Listen, this is a quick list, but okay. it's I'm stack ranking generally somewhere in these tiers for me.
So I dropped a video today, and I got a book back from CGC. I've been holding on to this book raw, and it's a first Riddler in a 5.0.
Oh, damn. That's a huge book. And
yes,
Derek says he better come back with his Riddler mask on.
Well, I don't have the mask. I have just the book.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah. I thought it was going to be like a 3.5 to a 4.0, but when my presser, he said it could be as high as a 5, and he was right.
That's that golden age. What do you call it? The golden age bumps right there. They,
Yeah, yeah,
they're
those
a
golden age
little
gifts.
easier on those golden age books.
Well, I mean, right? Like I think they have to in some regard because paper reacts differently from the 40s than the 60s, the 50s, even the 70s. But yeah, I was pretty stoked to get that back.
Yeah, that's huge. That's a huge book. Well, congrats on that one.
Thank you. But other than that, I got a podcast called Direct Edition that you were a guest on a couple of months ago, and I'm probably going to have you back on at some point because I enjoy talking all things with you. And that's
absolutely.
really it.
All right. Well, if you guys don't already, subscribe to West Coast Dave Venger's YouTube channel. Go give him a sub. Check out his recent video. I mean, he kind of gave it away with the book, but whatever. Like you can watch the whole context.
You get
and
the
then
real
also
reaction.
go check out, Direct Edition, his podcast show, which is great. And I was on it. So, there you go.
Well, thank you for letting me come on. I'm sorry I kept you over 2 hours here.
It's okay. It was like an end credit scene on the live stream.
On the post-credit scene. Yeah, I'm going to actually be in Fantastic Four as well. I play Galactus.
That's actually a big deal. And congratulations for you on that. And I look forward to watching your portrayal in that film.
All right. Thanks, Mickey.
All right, Dave. Well, there you have it. West Coast Dave, quick little stop in right there. Congrats to him on his Riddler pickup. And I think that's time now to wrap up the show. Thanks so much for hanging out, guys. Collector Call-In Show, always a good time. Appreciate all the callers. Appreciate you guys in the chat hanging out. Hope you guys had a fun time. And we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks so much for watching.